Okay. Sure. Alright, so yesterday I started playing SHAFFAR Rogue. I was just doing it as a recording, and today I'll do the stream for it. The goal of SHAFFAR Rogue, you want to make sure that you're mulliganing very hard for the Nexus Prince SHAFFAR, because ultimately that's the card that sets up your deck and combos around for your deck. So my game plan here is that I want to make sure that when I'm mulliganing, I'm trying to get the Nexus Prince SHAFFAR. Dig for Treasure is also quite good to be making sure that I'm getting as well. I'm thinking just about to keep the Buccaneer or not. I'll probably get rid of it because ultimately I just really want to mulligan hard for that Nexus Prince. And yeah, so I got 2 quick picks in this hand as well, so I do want to try and get it as quick as possible because that's ultimately my win condition with this deck. Looks like they're going to be playing Hand Buff Paladin. I have the coin, so that is relatively good. I don't really mind just leaving the 1-2 on the board as well. Don't really need to deal with it at the moment. It's only when they start buffing it up that I need to make sure that it's all cleared and staying out of the way. I use the quick pick here because I do have 2 quick picks in my hand. I want to make sure that I'm getting rid of one, and I'm not using both at this, and I'm not being stuck with it at the same time. I end up playing down their Colt, so I'm just gonna use my Tarslick to take out the 3-2. I don't really want to be taking more damage than what I need to, and then I'm gonna take out the 1-2 as well. I'll probably have the weapon this turn as my next turn as my guess. They don't end up having it, which is quite good for me. They also didn't really play properly because they should have hero powered then used that, but it's just a mistake that they made. I'm going to use Dig for Treasure here and hope to get the Nexus. I didn't get it, that's fine. I can use Coin and Dubious Purchase to get it out of their hand, but it's not really worthwhile at the moment. So I'm just going to hit into the 1-1 and see what I draw into. I draw into another Tarslick. I don't really want to use that right now, so I'm just going to use the Coin, and then I'm going to use my own manager. It reduces down my hand, but it also means that I get that coin back that I just used, and ultimately I'm just trying to save it for the Nexus. They've got the Miracle Salesman and the Tigress Plushie. I'm not too scared of that. I can just use Fan of Knives to clear it if I need to. I've still got the Tarslick in my hand as well. So if I go Tarslick, Fan of Knives, that clears the board. I think that's probably going to end up being the play. Like, I could use Dubious Purchase as well, which isn't terrible. So I'm going to go Coin here. I'll use my swing first to see what I get into. I've got another Buccaneer, so I can just use that to trade if I want to as well. I'll play it down. I'll then use the Prep and Dubious Purchase and see what I end up hitting with it. I might just trade into that so I still have one that's live. And then I'll use the Dubious Purchase, see what I end up getting. I've got another Prep and Backstab and Fan of Knives. None of those are really useful for me at the moment. It's probably better to just use the Coin here, because I've already got 6 mana anyway. So I'm going to Coin Fan of Knives. It reduces down my hand, but it also means that I can get back the card that I need. Unfortunately, I still haven't hit the SHAFFAR yet, but they haven't hit their weapon, which is good for me as well. They're not really doing too much at the moment either. I'm just going to use the Backstab onto the 3-2. I'm thinking of just using the Gear Shift. Like, ultimately it's not really worthwhile just having just sitting in my hand. Yeah, I'm going to use the Gear Shift. Oh, I don't really want to get rid of that. That's the issue. I could play the Buccaneer and then get it down reduced cost to 1 mana. I might do that, so I'm gonna use it to trade, and then I'm gonna use my Shadow Step onto it to get it back into my hand. and then I can keep the low cost going for when I use the Nexus eventually. When I eventually draw into it. Using Ziliax, I'm not too scared of that. Okay, I've got another gear shift. I can use my Tarslick this turn to take it out. That's probably going to end up being the play, but I'll use the gear shift first to see what I draw into. Because if I end up getting the big guy, I don't really want to be using that. I'm wasting that. I'll use the Tarslick onto their face because I can't use it onto either of these guys. And then I'm going to use the gear shift, or I could use a prep here. Oh, they're conceding. Okay. I don't know why they conceded. It wasn't really a situation that I'd be able to win extremely easily, but sure. Yeah, I'm not really certain why they conceded there. They really should have just kept playing. Like, I know they didn't have their weapon, but they should have kept playing. I wasn't in any sort of really winning situation just yet. Okay, playing against a Warlock. I'm not too worried about what they use. I'm just gonna full mulligan this. Usually Warlock's running like that control variant that's around. I got the quick pick, which is quite good. When you're using this deck, you also want to make sure that you have a weapon proc. I noticed that in my initial games that I was playing, to keep a weapon proc alive, so then you can easily use it with your South Sea deckhand. Hey, I got the winning card. Okay, so they're using fracking quite early, which means that they probably are that deck. The control deck. I'm just gonna draw a card. I don't want to use this turn, going into this turn, because I want to get the guaranteed buff on the Buccaneer. So I've got a Shadow Step here, but I still don't have any sort of play, so I'm just gonna trade my quick pick and see if I end up getting a 0 cost. I don't. So I'm just gonna set my weapon up again, because I don't really want to use this. I didn't really want to use this because I wanted to because I've obviously only got a South Sea deckhand as well. I didn't really want to just have it go into the South Sea deckhand because it makes it a lot weaker. Coming in 8/8, that's fine. I'm gonna go for the lucky comet here. None of these are very good. I'll just take that. And I'll keep my Fan of Knives. Problem is I haven't got a prep or a backstab just yet. Yeah, I'll just hold this. Problem is I'm going to be taking 8 damage from that. Like, at least they won't be able to use the Resurrect onto me, but it's still not a preferred way of doing it. I'm going to play down my Nexus here. I'll use... If I use Tarslick here, it doesn't end up killing it anyway. Because it only deals 4. Backstab wouldn't... Fan of Knives wouldn't deal enough either. So I might just hit the backstab onto it. And I'll use my Fan of Knives here as well. And then pass over to them. I'm going to take an extra 8 damage, but it should be fine. Because I've got this buff just here. Okay, so I'm going to play down the buff. Oh, I need to do... Sorry. That would almost been a big misplay. I'm going to use the Tarslick first onto the 8/5. I'm then going to use the Buccaneer to get its combo off. Gets the triple combo, and then I'm going to use the Deafen onto the 8/3. Means that I still keep my board. I'm just going to see what it hits. Hopefully it hits this a few times. I got very lucky there. Just deciding whether to shadow step one of these or not. I think I might, just in case. Like, it's probably safe. It's safer doing that to make sure that if I need to get another one, I can get it quite easily. And I'm just gonna pass. Like, I'm leaving the weapon here because I don't want to be using it when with my South Sea deckhand. They're summoning 2 8/8s, that's fine. I'm not too worried about that since my rush minions are now a lot bigger than that. I'm going to use prep here. I'll play down my Buccaneer. And then this helps set up for the next turn. So I'm just going to go for the raiding party. I got onto the Buccaneer a few times. Got onto that once. Okay, so I'm going to play down this guy. It will get me, using its combo will get me the coin. Okay, and then I'm just going to trade into the show 8/8s, and then I'll keep my 6/5 in my hand. And then next turn I'll be able to get the win off. I'm just not using both of these at the same time because I don't want them to be able to clear the board very easily. Can I go for lethal here? If I play that down, I can shadow step that. No, I can't get lethal here. I'm doing this in both of these into my hand just in case they have Dirty Rat.
Well played. Set sail for sailor nothing.
Okay, so I take all the buffs, then I obviously just go face here. So yeah, the idea behind this deck is you want to be able to get this big combo off with the South Sea deckhand. I still don't know whether having 1 or 2 is correct, because when you get the second one in your hand, it means that if your Buccaneers aren't able to get the best buffs, it means that you end up getting a bit weak because you have to use your shadow steps and breakdances onto the South Sea deckhand, and your buff isn't going around the board as much as you want it to. So I'm just been rolling with 1 at the moment, just because although it means that you possibly could have a situation that you're not going to be able to deal with it that well, I feel like it's probably the better way to go about it. Okay, I'm playing against another rogue, so it's more than likely it's going to be Cycle Rogue.
I'll blast you to smithereens.
Watch your back.
Okay, so I'll get rid of the Buccaneer. I want to be making sure that I'm getting the... I do want to keep the Buccaneer though, but I also want to make sure that I'm trying to get that Nexus Prince in my hand. Like, that's pretty much the main card. So I'm just going to full everything. If there was a dig for treasure, I would have kept that, but I didn't obviously have that. Okay, I've got a second quick pick, so I'm just wondering here whether to use the coin. I think I will. Usually you wouldn't want to use the coin too much in that situation, but I have 2 0-cost spells as well that I can use. From the scrap heaps, I've found is a decent card as well, because you can use it in the later game if you need to get the buffs onto something else. Dubious Purchase is fine. I'm just going to hit with the quick pick, see what I end up getting, and then I'm going to play the other quick pick down. Lucky Comet isn't really a card that I want to use right now. I want to be getting my my dude active before I use Lucky Comet. Okay, so I'm obviously playing against a Cycle Rogue. I can't use Dubious Purchase this turn unless I end up getting the Preparation. I don't know if that's correct using the Task Lick since I Yeah, I don't think that was correct doing that. I'm going to use the backstab first. I'm then going to use Raiding Party. It didn't really matter if I used it first or not because I'd always be drawing into it. I think I might go for the hit just because I may end up drawing something I want with it. And then I'm going to go for the Raiding Party afterwards. I got both Buccaneers, which is really good for me. I'm just waiting for my Nexus Prince now. Okay, so they're using like a digging rogue of sorts. So they've got it one treasure in their hand now. I'm gonna use my dagger here just to see what I end up getting. Fortunately, I don't really have anything that I want to get rid of here. I'm gonna use my Valera's gift and then I'm just gonna play down a Buccaneer, I think. There's nothing that I really want to be using here. I'm just going to play down the Buccaneer, and then it will mean that I'll end up getting a spare card in my hand, because there wasn't really anything I wanted to get rid of in that, and I also didn't want to use much in that either. I could have possibly just gone for a Shadow Step onto it, but I can use it on the other one anyway.
Witness true arcane magic.
Okay, they're playing down their second Oracle. Fine.
How enigmatic.
It would be nice drawing into my Nexus Prince. That would be very helpful right about now. Since they've used their Tasklick, I'm not too worried about them getting another one into me. They might be using Wishing Well because they're using this metal detector, which makes me feel like that it's probably the case. They're using up their second Tasklick as well, which means they won't be able to deal with my minions very easily. I'm going to use Prep Dubious Purchase. It means that I won't be overdrawing just yet using it. And then I'm probably going to be using Gear Shift. There's always Gear Shift in this turn. Okay, I'm going to use Dig for Treasure. I got the Nexus Prince, which is really good. I think I'm just going to use the Tasklick just going for Ace. I don't really need it at the moment, and since I've got all these cards in my hand, I don't really want to be using it either. So, I want to guarantee it going into the Buccaneer, so as long as I don't draw a South Sea deckhand this turn, I should be able to guarantee it going in. I have both my Shadow Steps as well, which is quite strong for me. So this turn, pretty much as always, Nexus Prince plus Prep. That will guarantee it onto the Buccaneer, and then I can choose what I want to do from there. Because I don't really want to be using it, oh. I think that's still the play, because I can then force it back onto it if I need to.
As a gracious host,
Use the Prep.
will tend to personally.
Unlucky.
Entertaining.
It's definitely not the preferred way to be doing this. So I'm going to go for Fan of Knives here. It forces it back onto the Buccaneer. And then I'm going to have to use Breakdance onto my 5/4. It's not the preferred way to be doing it, but I need to make sure that I'm guaranteeing it back onto... keeping it back in my hand because I'm only running the one.
Too soon.
Okay, so I think they have 2 coins in their hand. 3 coins now since CO Manager. So I'm not too worried. What do they get? So they get random minions that cost 1. That's fine, I'm not too worried about that. they're gonna get another one. I feel like I probably want that to go back into their hand, because if they're using their health, it means that I can use my charge onto them. Okay, so they're getting the 4-3 to trade into that, so that's not really very ideal for them anyway. And they didn't have the 2 spells either. Okay, so this turn's always gonna have... I'll always be using the Buccaneer this turn. So, if I go Tarslick into there and then the Deafen, it will clear that. And then I can clear that and that quite easily. So, Tarslick into here. I do want to get the Lucky Comet off as well. Because it means that I get the extra proc, the extra buff. Okay, so I'll grab that one. I'll play down my Buccaneer so I get the extra thing that's for it. And then I'm going to use Deafen onto the 5-4. All of them hit into that. That's unfortunate. I'll keep 2 6/5s onto the board. Not that I can do anything different about it, but that should be enough to be able to deal with them. Because I should be able to combo this well enough to be able to just deal with them. Okay. So, he's got his Deathwing back. I don't have the weapon, which is a little bit of a problem too. If I had a Shadow Step, it would be very good for me. I won't be able to get a weapon online if I do it that way. Okay.
Too soon.
It's not the most ideal way to be doing this. Fortunately, since I don't have the Shadow Step, I can't really do too much about it. The Deathwing's going to be probably too big for me, so I'm hoping they don't have, well, 1 damage, which is quite likely.
You have no idea what I'm capable of.
Oh, they got it anyway. Unlucky. Okay, I'm playing against a Shaman. I've got Nexus in the opening hand, which is fantastic.
You're back.
Gear Shift is not any use right now. I'll play down these 2. Dig for Treasure is quite good, because it will get me a coin as well. Okay, South Sea Deckhand. Ugh. I don't. That's the reason why I also don't really like playing 2, because if you get it into your hand when you have the Nexus, it reduces down your firepower a lot more because you can't then use the Buccaneer very effectively. I think I'm just going to get it active, because it means it also establishes a body on the board too, that they'll have to deal with. Okay, so they've gotten rid of it using that, but I still do have all the stuff that I need to in this hand. I'll probably end up using the coin next turn. But I don't have a way to play it right now, so it's probably better just to get the dubious purchase out and get rid of this minion. I've got the breakdance in my hand, which is really good as well. So next turn's probably going to be prep this gear shift, I think, because then it gets the guarantee bounce into the Buccaneer. And then I'll just have to hopefully be able to draw back into one of my other, back into my South Sea Deckhand. O manager's fine. O manager's probably better for this because then I don't actually need to use the gear shift. So I'm gonna go prep. I'm gonna go my Buccaneer. It gets the rush minion out for it, and then I'm gonna use the O manager onto their face. Okay, both land onto the Buccaneer, which is really good for me. I think I just trade here, and just deciding whether to breakdance or not, because if I breakdance, it means it gets me back the minion that my Buccaneer anyway. It might end up being the play here. I'll use it on the 6-3. Doesn't really matter which one I used it on. Okay. So they're trying to do stuff. Okay, so I can use the pop-up book this turn if I want to. So pop-up book first. But I should have just sent that face, to be honest, but it doesn't really matter too much. I'll use the Buccaneer. And then if I gear shift, it means that it guarantees onto this. Choose it. As long as I don't redraw back into the South Sea Deckhand. And then next turn I can establish the weapon for it, so I'm going to trade my 5-8 into there and 12 damage going face. It should be enough here with this board, I feel like. I don't think they're going to have a way to deal with this. Right now I'm posing too much damage for them to really deal with. Okay, so I go coin here. I play down my Buccaneer. I send both of these face. And then I use my breakdance onto the 9-5. This then puts the buff back onto the minion in the hand. And I'm going to establish my quick pick this turn. And that's going to trade into there. Just deciding whether to send... I'll just send the quick pick face as well, because it still has 1 proc left on it. And it should basically be a game from here. Like, I know that I don't have my my South Sea Deckhand, but I've got a lot of damage just sitting on the board. There should be a way that they'll be able to deal with this. especially since they're playing Asteroid, so it's a relatively slow deck, and they don't have the Incendius out yet. Because Incendius possibly could do something, but with 14 health on my minions, it's probably too big.
True arcane magic.
They're using both Oracles, so I think they're just trying to get... Yeah, I don't really know what they're trying to do here. There's not really anything they can do.
I am finished yet.
Okay, so going into the next game, obviously the mulligan is either Dig for Treasure or Nexus Prince. Nothing else you really want to be keeping.
I will fight with honor.
If you have the Nexus Prince, you can keep a raiding party as well if you want, but it's in general just better just keeping the Dig for Treasure and Nexus Prince, unless you don't already have it in your hand. Okay, so I've got both of these dudes in my hand already, so Dig for Treasure's a 50-50 for Nexus Prince. If it doesn't hit Nexus Prince, it does mean that I get a coin, so it's not the end of the world. But it obviously would be preferred. If I draw into a raiding party this turn, I'm just going to hold the Dig for Treasure because it means that I'll be able to guarantee getting the Nexus on the turn 4. I got the Buccaneer, which is fine, I guess. So it looks like they're playing hand buff Paladin.
I smell golden in their water.
Okay, they've got the gold panner out, so I'm not too worried about that. I will have to get rid of it though. Actually, do I really need... Like, it's definitely preferred because I don't really want to be letting them have the tempo. So I'm just going to use Gear Shift here. I'll get rid of these two minions, but I still do have the raiding party in my hand, and I already have a Buccaneer here anyway. And then I'm just going to use the Deafen onto the 1-2 because I want to get rid of it and make sure that it's gone. Next turn I can use Prep Dubious Purchase if I need to. It's definitely interesting, the new stuff that's coming out. I'm not really sold on many of the cards just yet, but we'll just have to wait and see what the legendaries end up being. Those definitely will possibly be interesting. Because usually the legendaries in the mini sets are relatively decent, and since they're faction based, it should mean that faction based, it means they should be relatively decent. I think this person's just gone AFK. Prep Dubious Purchase, just to see what I end up getting. Doesn't look like it's anything interesting. Just gonna use a coin here and I'll establish my quick pick. I'm still trying to get the Nexus Prince.
That was a mistake. Move quick.
I've got a raiding party in my hand, so it can get a South Sea Deckhand and a Nexus Prince.
Reporting for duty.
Now it can't get it. It can just get a. Sorry, it can just get a quick pick. It's not very strong.
go.
I'll get the raiding party out. I know that's not a very decent play for it, but I do need to get some stuff down because it's going to become a bit of an issue. I'm only playing one copy of Sassy Deckhand because it just annoys me too much when I draw into it all the time. You've got to be a lot more careful if you do only run the one though, so I'm still a bit unsure whether to use the one or the two. Why would they trade into that one? That doesn't even make sense.
Here we go.
Still waiting for my Nexus Prince.
What a steal!
They're gonna lifesteal up anyway. I think I just Shadow Step this one. I can get it back on the board, but it's not really worthwhile in this situation because I'm still sitting without my Nexus Prince, and I do want it to go on the 1-drop obviously, so I can get some more buffs into my other minions. Okay, so they got a Muscletron, that's fine.
Music to my ears.
Okay, so my backstab's with a Tarslick. I could use 2 Tarslicks and just clear this board. Don't really want to because then that opens up the possibility of them being able to use the big dude on me. Tarslick means I deal quadruple damage, so I'm just gonna play down the Tologarth and I'll just use that. Using the ones that were not in my hand. And I'm just gonna send this face. I do really need to try and draw my Nexus Prince. Like, Dig for Treasure can draw it and so can obviously the Nexus Prince. So I'm sitting at a 2 and 9.
Too soon.
As if I don't draw into the Nexus Prince relatively soon, I am in a lot of trouble because they're going to get too big for me. Especially if the buff hits the South Sea Deckhand rather than the Nexus Prince. Fine. Okay, Dig for Treasure gets me the Nexus Prince, so let's play it. Play that down. I'm gonna use the coin here and see what it ends up landing on. Last hit, obviously. Equip the dagger. Tarslick can clear the 5-4. Backstab shows the buff, so I'll just go for the backstab and see what it lands on. If it lands on the 1-1, I can use the Shadow Step. Which I can't. This goes into the 3-3. Shadow Step it.
Too soon.
I really don't like leaving a 5-4 on the board. Sorry, 9-4 on the board. I think I've just got to take the damage for it. It probably was better using the breakdance instead on that one that time, but it means that this is going to be a free card that I can grab. It more than likely was better using the 5-4 in that time though. So using the breakdance onto it, so I'd just be able to trade. they had lethal anyway. Or did they? No, they didn't. Unless they had the weapon to come through.
Valera versus
Okay, playing against a priest.
Time to steal some hearts.
I don't have any of the cards that I want, so I'm just gonna full mulligan this. Because with priest, it's more than likely it's gonna be Pain Priest at the moment because that's the most popular deck on ladder. 2 Dig for Treasures is really good, so I'm gonna use Dig for Treasure number 1. Gets me the Nexus Prince, which is fantastic. It also means that they don't know for certain that I'm playing the Nexus Prince. Because if I got the coin, they could be thinking it's Weapon Rogue or the SHAFFAR Rogue. I'm gonna use the second Dig for Treasure. That's not a great pickup, but sure. I'm gonna have to, this turn, I'm probably gonna be going Prep Dubious Purchase.
I smell gold in them there waters.
Because I really do want to get a Buccaneer.
Keep on panning.
And I can clear that as well. I can clear both of them. I'll use the Dubious Purchase here. I do want to save the Deafen actually, because if I use the Deafen on the big dragon, it's much better for me. So I'm just going to use the Tarslick on here. I think I want to establish the weapon this next turn. But with the Buccaneer draw, it means that it's probably better just trying to see if I can land it onto the Buccaneer. So I'll play down the Shafter and then I'm going to use the coin and see which one it lands on. I'm hoping it's the Buccaneer though. Lucky. I'm just going to establish the weapon here. And pass over to them. Next turn I can guarantee it landing onto the Buccaneer. They're drawing two spells, so it's quite possible they'll draw the card that lets them draw the two other dragons. Okay, quick pick. So this turn I go South Sea Deckhand. I've got the charge as well. I'm going to use Fan of Knives, so it guarantees the buff onto the Buccaneer. And then I can use Lucky Comet if I wanted to, but I obviously need to get the breakdance off. I could use this, so I'll send this one face. Use the breakdance on the 5/4. So it gets me the 5/4 back onto the board as well, which means I can clear this. So I'm going to trade my 3/3 into... I'm going to send my 3/3 face, 5/4 goes into the 2/3, and my weapon swing goes into the 1/1. Means they can't rebuff it up. Next turn I use the Lucky Comet into the Buccaneer. More than likely. I was thinking while I was getting organized to come home today, and I was thinking of how they nerf this deck, because surely it's not going to be staying around if Cycle Rogue gets the nerf, and the Oracle gets the nerf. So I was thinking that it's probably going to be on the Buccaneer, because if the Buccaneer has to summon a copy of this, and usually those sorts of cards are extremely busted, and the way they nerf it is just change it into summon a copy of a Buccaneer, or of that particular same card. And that's usually the way that they do the nerfs on these sorts of cards. So I feel like it's quite likely they're going to do the same thing. Okay, so I got a second Buccaneer, so I go Lucky Comet. Grab Telgarth. It's in general, this is probably the strongest of the non-Buccaneer cards. I'll play down the Buccaneer, and then I'm gonna have to use my Deafen onto the 2/3, unfortunately. I'll keep my weapon proc because I don't want to really be wasting that. I don't want to be wasting that in case I need to use the South Sea Deckhand relatively soon. Okay, and then just pass over to them. This also means that you can reactivate your spell as well, because you get the backstab into your hand, so it can clear whatever they send out to. I got 4. Okay. So I think I just established the quick pick here. I'll just use it first because I did obviously have the weapon swing. It means that I can get that back as well. I'll play down the Telgarth. And then I'm going to send the O Manager to face and see what it ends up proccing onto the 9/9. Both on the South Sea Deckhand. That's fine. Because they've got to deal with the 9/9 now, and these decks don't usually run any sort of major way to be able to deal with it. Like they could use the, they could use their ETC and then get the Deafen, but it means that I still be able to deal too much damage to them.
Molded in my rage is the foul.
That's fine. So it's backstab then Fan of Knives. Okay. You get decent packs when you climb up the ladder on these sorts of accounts, because I feel like that there's like a, you know, a random pack that you end up, like, I feel like I'm getting all these random rewards for just climbing up the ladder. Like, I haven't climbed up the ladder on a fresh account in a while. Okay, playing against a rogue. What's the platinum metagame usually like? Has anyone played in platinum recently? Always mulligan South Sea Deckhand. You do not want that card in your hand for quite a long time. Oh, I got the Nexus Prince. So I'm in two minds about using the Dig for Treasure or not. Like, if I use the Dig for Treasure here, it possibly might not be very worthwhile, but it also means that it cycles a card through the deck as well. They're either playing Weapon Rogue or SHAFFAR Rogue, so I do need to make sure that I'm getting my establishment ready. Okay, so they play down the Dig for Treasure, that's fine. I'll play my quick pick. I'm not going to use it just because I don't really want to draw into the South Sea Deckhand just yet. And I can always, if I need to, I can just go get the Buccaneer back into my hand. I can do the double buff onto it with these coins. Okay, so play down the SHAFFAR, and then I want to use the coin here. See what I draw into. I'll see what it obviously buffs into there. I could breakdance this back into my hand, but it's not really worthwhile, so I'm just gonna do the weapon swing now. and then I'm just going to pass the turn over the opponent. So, like, obviously it's a lot... If I had drawn the South Sea deckhand then, this could have been a lot worse of a play. They use a Tarslick in trade, which is good for me. Like, I was considering using the backstab straight into it, but obviously it meant that they're taking more damage doing this as well. Okay, so I've got a backstab, so I'm going to go for... I'm thinking just using Valera's Gift, because then that activates this, and then I can do a coin if I need to. So let's go Valera's Gift. I'll grab a backstab, and then I'll play down my Buccaneer. They've already used Tarslick, so it probably is just... I should have used the coin, because then I could breakdance it back if I wanted to. It's fine. I'll use the backstab on the 6-5. This goes into my South Sea deckhand though, so I'm just going to do a trade into them. And I got another Buccaneer, so it probably was better just trying to draw into the card, but that's alright. Like, I can now just... Next time I can attach this, I can do a backstab if I need to, and then I can breakdance it and send it onto the Buccaneer. Okay, so they're obviously playing the Nexus deck as well, and it looks like that I'm a lot better set up than they are. So I'm dealing 12 at the moment, I've got 8 on here. So I'm almost at lethal here. It's fine. Okay, so establish the weapon, play down the South Sea deckhand. Coin, to get the buff back onto the Buccaneer. Go face. Backstab, breakdance. So it gets it back into my hand. Trade into there. I'll use the gear shift here because it means that I can have the possibility of dealing the damage that I need to, maybe. So 2, 4, I got lethal doing that. So play South Sea deckhand, trade in. Shadow step, it goes to 0. Lay it back down, go face, and then deal the 1 damage. Obviously I can't say that I played better than them because I just got the Shafar. Like, that card is... The win rate increases substantially if you get it early.
Valera versus Tyrande.
Okay, so I'm playing against a priest. Obviously the usual mulligan strategy, dig for treasure or the Shafar. Nothing else. I got the dig for treasure, so I'm going to use that. I got the Shafar with it, that's really good. So now I'm just looking for my second Buccaneer. More than likely this turn's just going to be establishing the weapon. And pass over to them. Okay, so they're forging, so that's probably a creation protocol. I think I just hit and then just chill for another turn. I'm probably going to have to use the dubious purchase just for nothing, with nothing. Okay, so they're probably playing the Elise version. So here I probably just want to go the Nexus Prince and then Gear Shift. It guarantees it landing onto this. Oh, if I backstab it guarantees it landing on it. I think that's probably the play because it's more than likely they're not going to be able to deal the damage. If they do, they are using it to not great effect. I'm then going to use a Gear Shift here. So next turn I can go prep Buccaneer, and then I can use I can get some more buffs on it if I need to. But I obviously need to draw into more minions too. Okay, so they're using the Nightshade Tea, so this is obviously going to be a Reno Priest. I get the Buccaneer, which is really good, so I'm going to go for prep here. Lay down my Buccaneer to get the buffs. If I use Tarslick, I can then guarantee it onto here. I can then use Shadow Step onto it as well to get even bigger. They've got a coin in their hand, so they are probably getting a lease this turn. I can't remember how quickly they use that pendant.
So many options.
Yeah, I'll use the Tarslick here. It gets the buff onto the Buccaneer. I can then use Shadow Step to get into a lower cost one, and then I can play it down in the next turn. Since I've only got so little cards as well, it is a little bit of a problem for that too. So I'm just going to Shadow Step one of these. Because now I can't use the Gear Shift as well, which is a little bit annoying, but that's alright. And then I'll replay down the weapon.
I didn't intentionally pursue leadership, but I find it quite suits me.
Okay. There's no Ziliax here, which is really good for me. They have a lot of dudes on board though.
I should have taken a vacation ages ago.
Okay. So... gotta play the quick pick down here. Lay down the Buccaneer. I might have to actually use the Gear Shift here to even stand any sort of chance. I know it's not a very great idea, so I'm gonna have to use the quick pick. I'll just trade into the 5/5 and see what I end up drawing into. Shadow Step means that it guarantees the landing back onto these. So I'll just trade into the 5/5. I'll see what they end up getting out of their deck. They got another one of the Drakes, so I'm going to Shadow Step onto one of these minions. And then it's only going to get 2 of the buffs, but it means that I still have it active. How much damage do they have on board? 3, 9, 15. Yeah, they still don't have enough damage to really concern me. I think I'm just going to take another turn because the Yogg I don't want to be able to use to take out all my minions. Okay, so they've got 4/6, so if they have a way of getting out Ziliax, I'm just lose. They can also win with Hot Coals as well at the moment. Oh no, they can't at the moment. But basically I need to get a card to... I need to get a spell this turn that's not the Gear Shift.
Madness will consume you.
Okay. Breakdance is quite good. Trade into that. If I use the breakdance on the 3/2, I can get it buffed back up. So breakdance the 3/2. I should have done it differently because now they can get that other card back out of their deck. Let out my 12/12. Or 15, 14. And then I'm going to have to use gear shift here and hope that it's something decent. So I don't have any more minions in my hand, which is a little bit unfortunate. So if they clear this, I just lose. But there isn't, when a deck uses the Elise, it's not really, there's not really much chance of coming back from it. Yeah, this game. If they get the Elise off really early, it's really hard to come back from it, even if you do play perfectly and you draw exactly what you need to. Because turn 5 Elise is very powerful. I was lucky they didn't have the Zilliax with it, but it still wasn't very likely once they got it.
Valira versus Jaina.
You asked for it. Watch your back.
Okay, so I'll keep the quick pick just so I can draw some extra cards using it. Nothing that I really want from this. Okay. Just pass over to them. I don't really have anything to do here. I don't really want to be using any of these. So they're more than likely playing Elemental Mage, just judging by that play. So I'm just going to hold the weapon. Oh, I do want to draw, so I'm actually going to do the draw. Got a dubious purchase, so if I can get a prep, that'll be quite good. Dig for treasure's strong. Got a Buccaneer, which is good. I'm probably just going to use the O Manager to reduce down the damage that they deal to me, and I'd get another coin into my hand. Okay. Alright, so they're dealing straight for the damage for it, so I'm more than likely going to be using the weapon swing plus Tarslick plus Dubious Purchase. So if I go Tarslick, hit with the weapon. I could go prep Dubious Purchase, which I probably prefer because I want to be, the coins are much more useful for me just having them as coins. I got my Nexus Prince as well here, which is really good. Do I want to gear shift to getting rid of these two? I don't think so. Yeah, I'll just hold it so I can guarantee the spell burst onto the Buccaneer. They don't have the turn 5 play, so I'll be able to clear this board as well. Okay, so I'm going to play down the Shafar. I'm then going to use the coin. Guarantees it landing onto the Buccaneer. I'll play down the Buccaneer now. And then I'm going to Shadow Step the Nexus again. So it gets it back into my hand and it gets the buffs back onto it. I did make a little bit of a mistake because it would have been preferred using it the other way around. I will use the coin here and use the breakdance onto one of my 6/2s, just so I can get it back into my hand and I can use the Nexus Prince to clear the board again. Okay, so they could have the 5/4 here, which could be problematic for me, but I feel like I should be relatively safe. Okay, they're going face. It's fine. And they're solar flaring. So they've got 3/2s. So if I go the Nexus Prince Shafar, and then I go Deafen. It hits it onto the 2/2 so I can get this buffed up. Okay, I got a 12-10 down. I'm going to trade into these. And then I want to Shadow Step it. So it does remove the buff doing it this way, but it means that I'll be able to get another one out this turn. If I need to. I could just use a backstab here. It means that I keep the buff in my hand. It's not likely they'd be able to clear these. So I'll just play it down. I then should be able to win the following turn. I don't feel like they'll be able to clear this board. I know that I don't have any sort of way of getting a minion into my hand, but I don't feel like there's any way they can clear these. So they're freezing. I still have 33 damage on board, so it's lethal.
Valera versus the Thunder King!
I am the slayer of kings and gods.
Watch
Okay.
your
I've got Buccaneer in my hand. I'm playing against a Shaman. I don't really want to keep it. Like, it would be decent against a Swarm Shaman. But once again, I am trying to get the Nexus Prince out as quick as possible. I got Dig for Treasure, which is really good. Okay. So Dig for Treasure will be quite decent because I'll be able to... It could get me a coin, which is always going to be strong as well. I'll use Dig for Treasure here and see what I get. I got a Buccaneer, which is good, and I also get another coin. Next turn I'm probably going to be going Quick Pick. I could go for Prep Dubious Purchase. That's probably going to be the play because once again I am trying to get the Nexus Prince out as quick as possible. Dig for Treasure is quite good as well because it guarantees me drawing a card. Just pass over to them. Okay, they got a second totem, that's fine. I got my South Sea Deckhand, so it's a 50-50 to get the Nexus out, so I'm going to use the coin here. It means that if I end up getting the Buccaneer, I get the extra coin anyway. Okay, so I got the Buccaneer, that's fine. I'll play my one of mine ones down, just trade into the 3-2. It means that I'm establishing pressure into the opponent. They probably do have a way to clear these, but I still have those other ones in my hand anyway. If they have 2 Molten Magmas, they're able to clear it anyway. But if they don't, it means I can still use it to apply pressure. Okay, so they aren't clearing, which is good for me. I got no manager, so it means that I still don't have a way to clear it just yet. So I'm going to go for the Tarslick, and then I'm going to go for Fan of Knives. These aren't really going to be very useful this game anyway. Raiding Party isn't very useful. I think I'm just going to use my Quick Pick to be able to draw an extra card. Raiding Party only gets another Quick Pick out of the deck. I got a Breakdance, which is fine. So it's important here that I want to be making sure that I get my Nexus Prince, so I don't have any specific way to search it out. So 2 Molten Magmas clears these, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to use the Quick Pick just straight away to trade into it, see what I end up drawing. I get a Fan of Knives, so I'm going to use the Fan of Knives. I'm playing against I'm playing against a deck that doesn't really care too much about those anyway. Okay, I'm going to use I'm probably just going to play this down. It means that I've got some sort of pressure down onto them as well. I do get the stealth. They're playing down their Shadow Block, so it's probably going to be an Insidious turn next turn. I'm going to go for the Prep Dubious Purchase play onto them, and hopefully I end up getting the getting the card. I got it finally, which is good. So hit straight into phase. Lay down the Shafar.
I will tend to you personally.
I'm going to use the backstab because there's no real point just holding it at the moment. It hits into the Buccaneer, which is really good for me. And then I'm just going to pass over to them. It is a little bit unfortunate I don't have a weapon at the moment, but I did need to guarantee getting my Nexus Prince out too. So they're going to use this to fully trade, which is fine. Okay, so... I'm going to use Valera's gift here. So I'll establish my weapon because I'm always going to need that. I have 23 here. So I'm going to backstab onto the 5-7. Play down my Buccaneer. Hit the Deafen onto it. It gets these to be able to just be played if I need to. Lay down my South Sea Deckhand. Use my Shadows. Oh, hold on. Go face. I did make a little bit of a misplay because I was thinking that I had the extra mana to be able to use for it, so now I'm not going to be able to trade, so I need to make sure that I'm trading into here. Because if I end up losing this guy, it's going to be a bit of a problem. So I'll make it seem like, because I've got the 5-7, like I can probably deal with them, but it means that they probably can deal with these Buccaneers if I end up just playing them straight down. I will be able to get my Scrap Heaps cards out of the deck eventually as well, but I did make a little bit of a misplay just having the South Sea Deckhand since I'm only running one. Is this game hard for new players? It can be, like it's a lot better than it used to be. So I used to play years ago when it first came out, and it used to be a lot harder to get into, but the game's definitely a lot easier than it used to be because you get a lot more cards and things like that than what you used to as well. Okay, so I'm going to use Valera's gift here. I'll get a backstab. And I'm going to use the gear shift. Yeah, so if you... It does make it a little bit harder, like, because you may not understand all the key concepts and things like that, but you can definitely still do a lot of things with just free to play. And if you're not doing just free to play, you can obviously buy a lot more things and get into the game a lot easier. There are a few a few different ways to play the game too. I do definitely need to draw my Scrap Heap this turn. Taking 6 damage, that's a lot.
Gravitational wave. How enigmatic.
Thank you. Yeah, the deck is pretty crazy. I did make a misplay here, so I'm hoping that it doesn't end up punishing me too badly.
Set sail for sails!
Choose soon.
Okay. So I'm hoping they don't have a way to clear this. If they don't, obviously I win. They haven't used Incendious this game either, which is quite good for me. That's two. Okay, so they've used that to clear the board. I'll play down the Buccaneer here.
Set sail for sails!
Oops, I didn't do the buff for it. That's fine. Oops. Okay. Alright, so
Steel!
head into the Blood Mage Thalnos. So I'm not dead yet. Okay, so I play down this one. No, I'm not running the taunt one.
Choose soon.
Okay. And I'm just gonna pass over to them. This is the final buff that I'm gonna be able to do because I got the O Manager in my hand. I'm just hoping that it lasts long enough. Obviously that misplay was not great for me. They've used all their Malted Magmas, they've got the Ceaseless Expanse, which is fine. I'm gonna have to trade just directly into that, so obviously doing that Buccaneer misplay isn't great. But I think they're probably just gonna be able to win. They've got a lot of asteroids, yeah. I don't think that it really changed too much, that misplay, but... So my minions are, I'm running one South Sea Deckhand, I'm running 2 Buccaneers and 1 Nexus, because ultimately I'm just trying to get the Nexus as quick as possible. The South Sea Deckhand I did make a misplay and I lost it, because I was thinking that I had 2 mana rather than 1.
Valera versus Scarlet.
The Taunt minion, is it a pirate?
The blight begins!
Watch your back.
Oh, it is what it is. Misplays are how you learn best. It's alright, let me have a look. Okay, cards. It's a neutral. Is it Azurite Chain Gain? Okay, I'm gonna do my dig for treasure now. Yeah, it's Azurite Chain Gain. Battle Cry and Quick Draw summon a copy of this. So the issues that it definitely is quite strong in terms of like you'd be able to get a taunt out, but the problem that comes from it is you're wanting to be quite aggressive with this. If you just put a taunt out, your dig for treasure isn't as effective, your raiding party doesn't work as well, so I feel like it probably isn't as good to be running. But then again, you could get a bunch out by using the quick draw effect. Interesting choice.
Good talk, little Death Knight.
Yeah, the taunt definitely would be annoying for that deck. Because you can't use your weapon to swing into face or into a more favorable minion, which does make it a lot trickier.
Here we go.
I don't have the chain gang at the moment, which is a little bit annoying. I'm sorry, I don't. Now I've got the thought of the chain gang. I don't have the Buccaneer at the moment, which is a little bit annoying for me. Okay, so take 3 from that. I got a prep. I'm going to use the prep here to be able to get onto the South Sea deckhand. It means that I get out of my hand. And I'm going to grab these minions out because at the moment I don't really have anything. Oh, win free, that's going to be good. Okay, then just pass over to them.
You have earned an eternity of torment.
Raiding Party's a really good draw. I can't activate the South Sea deckhand at the moment though. I'm just going to play down the lifesteal one, because it's definitely not as useful as the others. I'm then going to use Raiding Party, so it gets me to draw the cards, and I also get the quick pick online then. The next turn. And then I'm just going to trade into phase. So I've got a lot of minions in my hand, which is definitely not the preferred way to be doing this. I'm hoping that I can get like a breakdance or a shadow step relatively soon. Yeah, I probably will be throwing them away. But I'd prefer them landing onto the mechs than landing onto the South Sea deckhand. So it is a little bit of a tricky situation to be thinking of.
Here we go.
Sending the damage face and then drawing a card, see what I get into. I still don't have a way to get the South Sea deckhand losing the buff, which is a little bit frustrating. Just gonna play down the mech and then pass over to them. I do need to get my Shadow Step or my Breakdance relatively soon though. It's fine. They were just waiting to be able to use that dirty rat on me. A little bit annoying, but it is what it is. Okay, I got the breakdance finally, so I can play this down. I can play down my mech to guarantee it. So I'll use the coin here, it goes onto my Buccaneer then. Play down the Buccaneer. Trade the 6-5 into it, go face with the 5-4. I'll just trade into the Hellier with my face, there's not really any difference not doing that. And then I have to breakdance onto my South Sea deckhand. And I'm just going to be floating the banner. I'm hoping for a dubious purchase relatively soon. It'll allow me to get more cards. A gear shift would be okay as well. But this board might be too much for them because, as I've mentioned previously, a lot of Death Knights, they don't run Malted Magma anymore. They've cut the Threads of Despair, so This board may be even too big for them anyway. Okay.
Top middle death knight.
Break it down! What a steal!
So I'm just trading away these cards because I do want to make sure that I'm getting this buff onto something. And I'm just going to re-establish my weapon. I'm not...
Here we go.
I'll do the swing just because I might need the extra damage, but it doesn't matter too much. I've got the Shadow Step in my hand, which is really good as well. I'm hoping they don't have another Dirty Rat. If they do, well... They've got the clear then. A lot of Death Knights are running the 2 rats. I don't know if they've got a way to clear it though. Okay, off goes onto Tolgath. I can then Shadow Step him back into my hand. Got lethal with the Tarslings. GG. Okay, what's next? What will be our next? Who's our next victim? Okay, a Druid.
Versus Malfurion.
Scenarius, guide me.
So I've got Raiding Party, which is decent.
Back.
I'm thinking of keeping the Raiding Party. It draws a lot of cards out of the deck. Keep the prep as well, just because it allows you to activate that if you need to. And with Druid, they're usually not doing too much throughout the game. So I got turn 1 and turn 2 play by having this, because I can use the quick pick as well. Next turn. Raiding Party used to be a 4-cost card. It used to cost 4 mana, which it was obviously a different time back when it came out, but it used to be very busted. I think it was before it was prep was nerfed though, so I think prep was the reduced 3 at that point in time. Okay, so they got their wild growth. I get another quick pick, so I'm just going to establish that this turn, more than likely. Let's pass over to them. It's a little bit unfortunate, I don't have anything in my hand to be able to draw more cards. Okay, so they're playing Spell Druid. You don't usually use that though, to just get the cards. Strange. Dig for Treasure is good. I'm going to use the coin here because for Dig for Treasure it's either going to be a pirate or the Nexus. If it's the Nexus, I'm sorry, if it was a pirate I would overdraw it. If it's not, I wouldn't. I'm going to play down the Nexus here.
I will tend to personally.
Gonna go for the prep. Yeah, didn't want it to land on that, but that's fine. Okay, hit into face. If I Shadow Step, I can... So if I Breakdance... If I Breakdance that, it's guaranteed to land onto one of those two. If I Shadow Step, I can't use the Breakdance, so I need to use the Breakdance first. So Breakdance into the 3-3, hopefully it lands into my Buccaneer. Yeah, that's fine though. And I'm going to Shadow Step my dude. And I'll hit with the weapon because I'd want to draw an extra card. Another Dig for Treasure, which means it's more likely I can get it onto the Buccaneer. Okay, so Trail Mix is a bit concerning. Yeah, Rogue's definitely had some nerfs recently. But with that being said, it's still completely busted. Okay, play down the Nexus Prince, use Dig for Treasure. Guarantees the Buccaneer. It landed onto that fresh Buccaneer. Twice, that's good. I think I just chill. Yep.
Picture the adventure of a lifetime.
Okay. How do I... Oh, are you serious?
Nature, all flourish under my care.
Okay, so it's always going to be coin here. I don't think I'm going to be winning this, but we'll see how we go. Lay down the Buccaneer. I think it's always Deafen. But do I use it before? If I use it, that means I can't use another... I won't be able to use another one of these. Deafen can get rid of that out of being able to get more minions out of the deck.
So many options.
Okay.
Choose soup.
Next out, doesn't really matter what I do it onto. Okay, so it's big enough to take out his health total. He can force these two minions to attack with that. Okay. So he still doesn't have lethal doing that. That's lethal though. Don't think I could have done any different. Because those were probably the best pulls you can get with it anyway. With Dungar. I could have traded better with the Buccaneers. If I had traded differently, I might have been able to.
For Doomhammer.
Watch
Yeah, the Yogg was a bit. But remember, it's important if you are playing matches. Like, sure, they did high roll. Like, they definitely did get better than what they could have. You still can think of what you can do better. Because, like, yeah, I feel like I played mostly the way that I should have played. But yeah, it's important, like, in these sorts of games that, you know, if you do lose, you don't just go, oh, it's just because of that. You try and see if there's any other way that you can play better. Okay, so if I leave that up, it means they could use the trusty companions. I think I get rid of it just to slow them down a little bit, because they're more than likely playing the Swarm Shaman deck. Yeah, that's true. Well, I do have my fair share of whining as well. I can't say that I'm not the same as that. But I do try and think of my other plays that I could be doing. Okay, dig for treasure. Sassy deckhand's obviously not great for me, so I'm going to use the gear shift here. It does get rid of 2 cards that can be useful against Swarm Shaman, but I do really want to be trying to get my Nexus online. The prep's really good as well, because I'll be able to get my Dubious Purchase online as well next turn, without using the coin. Coin's a lot stronger than prep in this deck, so you want to be, if you need to, if you have a choice between using coin or prep, it's always using prep first. So prep Dubious Purchase, we'll see what I end up drawing. I'm going to use the coin here just to get the quick pick online and just get an extra card, because I'm probably just going to be using Dubious Purchase next turn, or in the next few turns anyway. And since I don't have any sort of remote access at the moment to my Nexus prints, I've got to try and see what I can do. Okay, pop-up book's fine. Okay, I'm just going to trade my weapon, see what I end up getting. Got a prep. I could go Valera's Gift here. Get the backstab. It gets it out of my hand, and then I can use the prep Dubious Purchase. Is there a better way of doing this? I'll just do the silence onto the frog, and then I don't need to worry about overdrawing. It also means that I'm guaranteed to hit 3-1-2. Didn't really matter which way I did that. Okay, and pass over. Okay, so I've still got Raiding Party, which can get me the dig for treasure. Sorry, can get me the quick pick and the Buccaneer. I've also got the Nexus Prince in deck as well. Okay. So Tarslick always goes face. See what they end up doing. Bargain bin. Okay. Own manager into the 2-5. Use the coin, see if it's rat trap. Backstab to hit the rat trap, so then I can clear 2 of those and I make sure the rat trap doesn't go into me. And then I use the Fan of Knives, see what I end up drawing. Gotta dig for treasure. It's not a guarantee of getting the Nexus as well. I'm just gonna use it because I do need to try and get online. Unfortunately, I don't hit it. Okay, so I've still got a gear shift left in my deck, so that can be used to draw cards. I'm gonna have to just use one of these Buccaneers for tempo, I think. Because otherwise I'm gonna get overwhelmed here. Using Bloodlust, that's interesting. So dealing 17 damage. Okay. So, coin. Buccaneer, I get online. I'm gonna activate my quick pick as well.
Here we go. Here we
Gotta hit into a 3-1 to draw a card. I get the gear shift, which can be helpful, I guess.
What a steal!
I'm gonna use the gear shift first to see what I draw into. Because these cards here decide a different way, a possible different approach. I got the Nexus champion as well. So I think it's hit into the 3-1. Then I shadow step the 3-2. So then next turn I can use the Nexus onto this 3-2 and then I can do a bunch of different buffs through it. Oh, unlucky.
I give up.
I don't think the breakdance would have really made much difference because I didn't have all the cards in my hand anyway, and I don't think I'd be able to deal the 20 or so damage that I'd need to from a hand.
Valir versus Nazar.
Let the crystals claim your mind.
Okay.
Watch your back.
Get rid of everything. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get the Shaffar in opening hand, so it's always mulligan for dig for treasure and Shaffar. Raid's quite useful too. Don't have anything right now, so I can't. Next turn I'm gonna get the weapon online, but probably not use the swing. Just in case I need to use it for a future turn. Right. I'm just gonna hold that because at the moment I don't really have anything that's gonna be happening. They're a slower deck as well. Like I've also got to work out what type of Warlock deck they're playing. If they're playing the taunt one, then this is better to keep this. If they're playing the Stally one with the starships, it's better the other way.
Here we go.
I think it's the taunt one. So they've got coin in their hand if they want to use it, but that only gets them a 6/6. It's probably better just to hold out until the following turn. You're saying compared to the guy. Yeah, drawing a plague with a 40 card deck. But to be fair, plagues are ridiculous, like how the drawing happens for it. Okay, so they got rid of Wheel, they got rid of the Symphony as well. I'm gonna use Dig for Treasure here, see what I end up getting. I got a Buccaneer, which is really good. I think I'm just gonna trade here and I'll just chill one more turn. Just because they probably do have the dude. They'll probably just be trying to get the biggest one they can. If they don't have it this turn, I'm just gonna use I'll use the dubious purchase. Okay. So, prep dubious purchase I think's the play here. I think they still have the coin in their hand. Play down Nexus Prince. And I think I'm just gonna backstab it. Because they're obviously gonna clear that anyway. And then next turn I've got some different plays that I'll be able to do from this. I'm just hoping they don't. They're going to use the jailer this turn, and then I'm hoping they don't get the 15. If they do, I'm going to have to use the task like this turn as well. It's fine. Okay, so I need to go coin, get the Buccaneer online. Parslick gets that out. O Manager does the same thing. Tasklick to the 15-15. It drops down by 2, but that isn't going to be able to clear it with that way. It was better just doing it that way. That's fine though. I play down these ones. Shadow Step onto the 6-5. And then I'll just trade into that. Like, I know it's probably not ideal using the Tasklick, so I should have Tasklicked into that one, so I'd be able to just use my weapon and keep it as a 9-8, but it's fine. None of those were demons, were they? They lost their Ziliacs. Okay. So if he doesn't end up clearing the 9-2, I can get the bigger buff using the Buccaneer, so I can attack with face, and then I can use the Buccaneer. Fortunately, they do end up clearing it. That's fine though. I'm gonna play down the quick pick, hit it into face with it, see what I draw into. I get a dig for treasure, which is really good, so I'm gonna play down the Buccaneer, and it's then guaranteed Southsea deckhand. So it doesn't matter, I can just Shadow Step this one and then I can just deal the 2 damage.
Versus Sylvanas.
Yep, I'll leave the recording. Thanks for the kind words. And have a great night. Yeah, I'll leave the rest of the stream up. I'll put it up once I finish it. I'm hoping to be able to get Legend this morning, in this run, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so I'm just passing over to them. I do a fan of knives, but I'm just wondering what they're going to end up doing. They're probably playing the aggressive style, so it possibly could have been a mistake doing that. I'll just use the fan of knives here just to clear the 1/1s. I've got Valera's gift for next turn. I've also got the Buccaneer and I've got the Nexus, so I can use those next turn as well. Discover and cast a secret, that's fine. Next turn I play down Nexus and I coin.
As a gracious host, I will tend to.
Actually, I could just use backstab here. Yeah, it's probably just backstab. If it is a ice trap, it means that I'd be able to just clear it anyway.
How entertaining.
They might have used hidden meaning too. And I'll just pass over to them. So it's not a hidden meaning, it could be a rat trap or bait and switch or something like that.
Let me play you
You control no other minions, discover a secret. I don't think I've seen this card being played before.
These could belong to a brand new species.
Okay. So, coin. Base. It's a freezing trap, that's fine. So I can get my buff back onto my minion if I need to, so I'm going to go play down the Buccaneer here. It goes back onto the Prince, So I'm going to use the Tarslick here. The reason why I used the Tarslick first is because I didn't want to lose the buff on one of these guys.
What a steal!
Right into the 4-2, it's the bait and switch. I think I just keep this on the board. Because next turn I'll be able to use the Shadow Step on it anyway with my with my Shaffar. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it on the board. A 6/5 is relatively menacing to these sorts of decks anyway. It's fine. So they've used 2 discovers so far. Oh, they've used that as well, that's a discover too. Okay, so face. Play down my Nexus Prince and then just Shadow Step it. So it gets the buff onto it and it means next turn I can go for whatever I want to really. The 9/9 will be quite strong for this too. So next turn it's probably going to be like this, into breakdance or something. Probably hoping for poisonous. Taunt. Okay, Valera's gift. Fan of Knives is probably the best here. Clears most of the stuff. Play down the Buccaneer. Trade. Trade. Use the breakdance onto one of my Buccaneers. It gets the buff back onto it. Trade. And a knives. See what I end up drawing into. It's another Buccaneer, which would be really good for this. So I'm going to use the gear shift now. And I'll deal a 9 damage to their face. So they're sitting on not a great sort of situation because they've only got 2 cards in their hand. And I've got all this stuff in my hand too. Next turn's dig for treasure and then Buccaneer down, and then I should possibly have lethal. Norel, that's fine. I don't think there's really too much they're able to do with that. Like, they can get an alien encounters, but that's probably about it. But I still have lethal sitting on board.
This was an honorable fight.
Okay. Alright, so the strategy going into the next mulligan's obviously always the same. Like, this deck is quite solitaire sort of based. Like, you get your combos, but it's basically draw the Shafar and then just play stuff and just overwhelm the opponent from that. It's very similar to how Cycle Rogue is, but I feel like it's a little bit less consistent. Like, you high roll a lot more, but it just feels weaker. It's stronger into the decks that have a lot of armor and things like that, but it's definitely feels a lot weaker than just, yeah, it feels a lot weaker than just the normal Cycle Rogue into most matches. Okay, playing against Death Knight, I'm probably just gonna full mulligan this. There's not really anything I want to keep here. Got a gear shift. It's fine. And a knives. I think I'm just going to use the gear shift here. Like, I don't really want these two cards at the moment.
The pleasure is mine.
Raiding Party's quite good, because it means that I'll be able to draw all the cards that I need to. Or we have to use the Fan of Knives. I'm hoping they use Mining Casualties. Dig for Treasure's really good. I'll just use it. Gets me the Buccaneer, so Raiding Party's guaranteed to get the other two cards out of the deck. The other two pirates. And then the quick pick, obviously, if I want it to. I feel like it's probably going to end up being the play for it. But if I use Fan of Knives here, it means it clears these sorts of things, don't have to worry about them. The coin is very useful in this deck, so I feel like it's probably just using Backstab and then Raiding Party. I could use Fan of Knives, but then I float a mana. Yeah, I'm just going to use Backstab and then Raiding Party. It draws me 3 cards. And then my next dig for treasure is guaranteed for the Shafar.
You have earned an eternity of torment.
Okay, they're playing down Helya. I'm not too concerned about that. Since I don't run Oracle, it's not the biggest issue. Lucky Comet. Eh. I'll use a Fan of Knives, see what I end up drawing into. The Tarslick. Play it on the quick pick. And I'm just gonna go face because this damage doesn't matter anyway. And then pass. Because this damage is always gonna be, they're gonna always be losing this minion anyway, so it's not worthwhile trading into that. Okay, so they're playing an aggressive sort of deck. That's probably not good for me since I still don't have my Nexus. Which means that I'm going to need to go a bit more aggressively than just passing. Gotta play down the Lucky Comet. I'll take the Poisonous just in case. Yep, I'll get the deck list. After this game, I'll do a copy and paste. I'll play down the Buccaneer to get a bunch of these guys. And then I'm just gonna go into face and see what I end up drawing into.
That feels good.
Okay. So I'm gonna use coin and I'm gonna use my Tarslick here. I don't really want to lose these guys because it's helping protect against the Horizon's Edge. They might end up trading the Ghoul and then they get an extra 3 damage going into me doing that. Careful Salesman. Oh, bro. Okay. I've drawn into a lot of plagues, that's not very good for me. So I'm not liking my odds here, but I'll just use a quick pick to go face, see what I end up drawing into. It's a prep. It's always prep Fan of Knives, see what I end up drawing into. Previous purchase. So I need to make sure they don't have a way to get any more spells into their hand. The problem is this is going to end up dealing quite a lot to me. I don't think I really have a chance of winning this. I could have used the Fan of Knives, actually, which probably would have been better. Would have cycled me through an extra card. Okay, I'll go get the deck list now. Oh, what just happened? It's too big. It's not copying and pasting very well. Just a second.
Valera versus Lunara.
The forest fights back.
Why is it not pasting into a Word document now?
Back.
I'll keep the dubious purchase in the prep because I want to draw 3 cards, especially against a druid. Okay, let's try this. I think that should be it. Okay, so I could go prep raiding party, or I can go prep dubious purchase. I think it's better just getting the extra 3 cards out of the deck now. I might need to be using that later on. And quick pick can obviously draw me an extra card too. Okay, so they're playing Dragon Druid. I haven't seen this deck in a long time. Played on my quick pick and I'm just going to go face to draw a card. It's not very useful. If I was to change this deck, I'd probably change the Scrap Heap back to a Lucky Comet. It's just since I'm using free to play, I don't have the other Lucky Comet. Or I'd change that into another South Sea deckhand. Because I haven't really used it very much at all. I'm going to use Coin, Dubious Purchase here, see what I draw into. I'm going to overdraw, which is a little bit unfortunate. It's fine. As long as it's not...
My hand is too full.
Yep. Okay.
I give up.
Well, that's unfortunate. I could have played around that by using other stuff, but I was a bit too greedy.
Valera versus Hell
be the end of you.
Watch your back.
Yeah, 1 out of 15 was a little bit unlucky with it. Oh well, it happens. Something that would be nice would be drawing into like the, drawing into the Shafar straight away, because I know whenever I play against people with this, it feels like it's in their hands so often, and you just go, come on, can't I have that all the time? At least when you use the dig for treasure, they think it's a weapon rogue. Like, I feel like it's quite a common occurrence. It's like, oh, it's going to be weapon rogue. And getting the coin obviously is quite useful too for it. Okay, so they're playing Elemental Mage. Probably gonna have to use this to get a Fan of Knives. Just wait and see what they end up doing this turn. Okay, so turn 3, more than likely it's gonna be that big dude. So I'm just gonna use the Valera's Gift now to get the Fan of Knives and use it. Draw into a prep, that's fine.
Here we go.
I'll get rid of the 2-1 because I'm gonna have to be doing probably trading anyway. They're gonna be using the 7-4 I think this turn. So I can use Tarslick Backstab to take it out. I feel like I'm getting to the point where it's already getting a little bit out of hand for me, because this hand is quite weak. It's fine. Fine. Okay, I'll use the gear shift. Okay, I've got to use Lucky Comet here. I'll take the Buccaneer. And I'm probably just going to have to use this Buccaneer. Like, I'm not really in a situation that I can just let this board live. I'll just trade into all their 1-2s. I'll keep the 2-1 alive just because the only way this really punishes me is if they use a Solar Eclipse. Or they use another Tainted Remnant and then they're able to get these 3. But I feel like they're going to do the draw card this turn. Since they'd played down so many of those minions, it just made me assume they were going to do the draw. They can go for coin and ping, that clears one of these guys. Problem is that is a lot of cards they just drew. They just drew 5 cards. Okay, so using a geyser so that they're trying to deal more damage to face. I got a quick pick, so that's quite good for me. I think I'm probably gonna still have to trade into this 2-1 just with one of my 3-1s. I don't really want to take the extra damage.
Here we go.
I'll just trade just like that. I feel like it might be better for me, and that obviously is a bit of a reward because now I can Tarslick. Obviously, it would have been a bit nicer having the Fan of Knives in my hand before, so I wouldn't have to do that, but it's just the way that you need to do it sometimes. I'm just gonna go the 9 damage here. I'm gonna use a Breakdance just to get one of these 3-1s back into my hand. Just in case I need some sort of combo up quicker, because if I get the Nexus Prince, I should be able to get lethal with this hand, I think. Okay, so I think that's a Solar Flare that's coming out of their hand as well, which is a bit of a problem for me. is I can't use this turn, otherwise I just lose.
Set sail for sail! What a steal! Set sail for sail! What a steal!
Oh. They had lethal anyway because they could use the ping.
I did.
They drew so many cards in that game. I wish I drew that many cards. The problem is, this deck does draw quite a lot of cards, so it's a little bit unfortunate that was the case. I guess I just need to draw the prince quicker. I think that's my misplay. Okay, playing against another mage. There's been quite a few elemental mages.
You're back.
Just trade all this. I misplayed again. I didn't get the Shaffar in my opening hand. So if I draw a Dig for Treasure, I don't want to use it because I can use Raiding Party to get the Nexus Prince guaranteed if I wait the extra turn. If I use Gear Shift might actually be the better play because these two cards I don't think are going to be very useful against the mage. I will use it just because I can use the Raiding Party to get that stuff back anyway. I've got a Dig for Treasure, which is really good, so I can go prep Raiding Party and then Dig for Treasure hopefully gets me the Shaffar. You're welcome. If there was a change that I'd make for it, it would be probably changing the Scrap Heap back to a Lucky Comet. It's just since I'm free to play, I don't really have the available resources to do it. Okay, so next turn is Dig for Treasure Quick Pick more than likely. Maybe I just go Quick Pick first. Dig for Treasure's guaranteed now. So let's go Dig for Treasure, gets me the other Buccaneer. Then I'll just establish the weapon. Probably should have used that one, because that was the one that I drew out of the raiding party. Okay. What's the likelihood that's Explosive Trap? It's not. Just gonna pass with that. I couldn't afford that to be an explosive runes.
I see the beauty in every grain of sand.
Okay, that's fine.
As a gracious host, I will tend to you
Use the coin
personally.
to counter spell. Okay. Alright, so Tarslick, the 2-2, backstab into the 2-6. Gets the buff. Backstab onto the 2-6. Now if I draw prep, this wouldn't be the ideal play, but it's better to make sure that thing goes. It's just passing. Okay. So, Fan of Knives, 2 Fan of Knives clears 3 minions from this.
So many options.
So it's always Fan of Knives first. Gear Shift isn't that useful in this situation. Get into the 1-2, because I'm probably just going to be Fan of Knivesing this. I don't have any minions left in my deck, so that's not any use. Valera's Gift. Got the Fan of Knives, and then I clear these. Clear 4 of these guys. Shadow Step's fine. I could go for the Gear Shift and then dig for treasure back the South Sea deckhand.
Choose soon.
Gets me a prep. Possibly. Yeah, I'll go for the Gear Shift because it allows me to get the South Sea deckhand back into my hand if I want to as well. And it can get me some more stuff that I might need.
My blood boils for war.
I still have a Fan of Knives in my hand as well, which is good because I can clear this relatively decently. So if I toss Slick, it means that these are a lot weaker.
So many options.
Let on the Buccaneer. Use the Shadow Step on it once I do a trade. So trade into that. Use a Shadow Step. Put this. Put on this one. Use a Breakdance. Okay.
Soon.
So now Parslick's gonna be in a moment. So you trade into that, trade into that. Parslick onto this. And trade. So next time I can establish the weapon. It's fine. Okay, is he going face or trading? Face. Okay, so they're putting Divine Shields on a bunch of stuff. I'm surprised they didn't do it on their face though. So Lucky Comet will guarantee this coming out. So let's go Lucky Comet. Grab the Buccaneer. Would you? It gets 3 of these. Now I think it's... If I played these down, I get another 2, and then I could... Wait, I can't do that, because then I wouldn't be able to get them back into my hand. So it's gonna be Dig for Treasure, or O Manager. I think it's O Manager here. Put it onto there. Gets the buff into the hand. I can then use my Dig for Treasure. Got an extra coin as well, though. Let's go to the Dig for Treasure. It gets me my South Sea deckhand back into my hand, so I trade, put that onto you. I then go coin and then breakdance onto my 9/5 that's here. that. Okay, so I need to get the weapon back online too. It's fine. What is he getting those from? Oh, the Infitude. So I've got 18 damage on board at the moment. So... previous purchase. So if I just go this into this, and then coin, it always goes on the South Sea deckhand. Yeah, so this, coin, let down quick pick, let on the charge. I think they need to change this animation time. It's a bit silly how it just keeps going like that. It should just do an instant buff and just go straight onto it, like use all of them at the same time. Just like how most hand buffs work. Okay, playing against another rogue. Dig for treasure's good. I'll probably mulligan the rest. If I get another Buccaneer, I'm gonna hold the dig for treasure. Or, sorry, if I got another thing. I think I might just hold the dig for treasure here because the raiding party, it will guarantee it for me relatively soon. Because the raiding party's always going to get the 2. Okay. I'm just going to play the quick pick down, I'll hit into them. They're not playing Weapon Rogue, I know that, but they could be playing Cycle Rogue. So I can guarantee my Nexus Prince on turn 4. That might be their Nexus if they are running the same deck as me. Or if they're playing Cycle. It might be a bit different. I'm just going to use that now to get the guaranteed cards out. And then I'll just hit into them. I've got 2 dig for treasures, so like I'm going to keep holding it just in case I need to, because if I end up cycling I can just use a gear shift and then I can use a dig for treasure to get it back out. It also gets me back a coin. Playing down the second quick pick. So I'm going to use my dig for treasure here. And I'm just going to establish my weapon. Because I'm not 100% sure still what they're playing. They could still be playing Cycle Rogue. If they are playing Cycle Rogue, I don't want to leave a minion on the board for them to be able to take out.
True arcane magic. How enigmatic.
And it's clear now they are playing Cycle Rogue. Okay, so they've Shadow Stepped their Oracle. They're probably going to draw some more cards. They'll probably play it back down and then use it again. No, they're gear shifting. Okay, so they're up to 12, I think, for their Giant. They don't have any asteroids in their deck. So, I don't think it's likely they're going to be able to get Giant on next turn. I'll play down the Nexus this turn. And I'm going to use my Fan of Knives. Unlucky, it landed on the South Sea deckhand. That's fine though, I can use that to go face. And then the next turns I can use the Buccaneer. It definitely isn't ideal, but it should be alright. It'd be a lot stronger if I had a breakdance to use with it as well. I don't think they'll have the Giant this turn, so if they play down the Oracle, they'll need to prep Dubious Purchase as well to be able to get that sort of amount of cards. The Mauler could get them there if they get a bunch of Asteroids drawn out of their deck. They've still got the Oracle in their hand, so they might be going Oracle Backstab, and then that uses the Astro Prep.
How enigmatic.
They can get their Asteroids out doing that. Okay, so they've drawn 2. They've still got 3 cards left to go. They're using a Breakdance for it, so it means they won't be able to get the full swingle.
Too soon.
Okay, 2 damage goes face, that's fine. So next turn they're guaranteed the Giants. Play down South Sea, use Backstab onto the 2-2, so it gets my buff back into my hand. Play down the Buccaneer, go face, and then I'm just deciding whether to Shadow Step it first so I can get onto the other Buccaneer. So if I Shadow Step first, it's possible it may land back onto my South Sea deckhand. I don't really want that this turn, I want it next turn. So I'm just going to use the Dig for Treasure here, so it guarantees it back onto the other Buccaneer. And then I'm going to Shadow Step my 5-4, bring it back into my hand, and then next turn I have the guaranteed lethal push. Pretty sure? No, I don't have the guaranteed lethal push, but it's pretty close on it.
Witness true arcane magic.
Okay, it looks like they don't have any Giants, considering they just used Tarslick and an Oracle. Yep, they don't have the Giants play. So it means I got an extra turn. So they're at 19, so this will put extra 12 onto this, it becomes 14. Is that lethal?
Too soon.
So prep first, lay down the Buccaneer, breakdance onto my South Sea deckhand, lay it back down hopefully. Just trade there just to... I think I got it. Oh, they gave up. I wasn't sure if I was going to get that, to be honest, because it looked like I may have missed that slide across. Okay, playing against Paladin, more than likely it's a hand buff Paladin.
I will fight with
I've got the card, so I'll probably just keep both of these. kept my quick pick just because it's quite useful in this situation. So I'm gonna go... I don't want to use the Lucky Comet until after I've used the Nexus. Quick pick.
Here we
Go face. Because I want to get the guaranteed buff onto the bargain bid before I get the Lucky Comet going off. Okay, so they're guaranteed to get the... Guaranteed to have the weapon next turn. So I'll use my Fan of Knives first. Preparation's really good for me.
Here we
I'll take out this one because it's more important because they can get a buff onto it. So next turn is more than likely going to be Nexus Prince prep. It guarantees it onto there, and then I can use the Lucky Comet that turn as well. Okay, so play down Nexus Prince, use the prep.
I will tend to personally.
Or do I just use Valera's Gift? No, I'll use the prep because this could be useful in future turns. Guarantees it onto there. I use Lucky Comet now. Don't really want any of these. This is probably the best of them. Yeah, this is the best of them because they can get really buff minions going on. And I'm just going to pass. There's not really anything I want to do in this situation. So, going into next turn... I want to establish this, but the problem is I got this one in my hand as well. I don't really have too many cards that I don't really want to buff this, but I might have to. I might have to go, we'll probably backstab into one of their minions they're going to play, lay this down. I'm probably going to be doing dubious purchase this turn since they just played that down just flat. If I go backstab, I can get that out, but it just trades straight into that anyway. I could go backstab, I get this as the poisonous, and then I can go Buccaneer, Shadow Step back up the Buccaneer, it gets this out of my hand. It's not really worthwhile. I think that's probably going to be the play though, so I'll play down this, play down the Buccaneer, play down the 2-1, rush to trade into you, and then Shadow Step one of the Buccaneers. Since I have the combo, it gets the extra buff onto it anyway. They don't usually run the buff, the Dirty Rat in this deck. It gets 2 6/5s onto the board as well, so what I'm trying to do is establish as much pressure as I can while still having some sort of presence, because the 6/5 should be big enough for whatever they send out at the moment. And then I'm hoping relatively soon I'm going to be able to draw into one of my other pirates. Trades both of them, then he gets a gold panner out, but I've still got a 9/8 in my hand. I think I might just take the turn to chill. Because this deck doesn't really run too many taunts. So I'll go Fan of Knives, see what I draw into. Scrap Heaps, that's not really what I want. I'll just trade into there, or get rid of that. Sassy Deckhand's a good pull. I do need to get my weapon online. Okay, so I've got the second weapon buff, and then they're going to play down another minion. So what is... They've got a Drone Deconstructor in their hand as well that's been getting buffed. So what is it?
The light dims, but
Fine. Raiding Party gets me the other Buccaneer out. So, but the Deafen probably is better just to go hit into the 5/5. So if I go Deafen into the 5/5, I then use Raiding Party. So I play this down, use Raiding Party. It gets me out my other Buccaneer. And it gets me another quick pick that I can establish. Quite a few went into the South Sea deckhand, which is not particularly what I want. I'm just going to head into the 1/1 and then I'm going to trade the 9/8 into 2/3. That's fine though, I should be able to get the buffs onto this next turn. So it will be play down South Sea deckhand, play down Buccaneer, use a Shadow Step on one of the Buccaneers, but then I still don't have another way to get the South Sea deckhand back out. I need either a Shadow Step or a Breakdance next turn to guarantee the lethal. But if they don't end up being able to deal with these two 9 drops, I should be fine. Is he really swinging into that? The plushie... I think the plushie will be at 4 though, so he's probably just... If he swings into that, it means the plushie will be able to trade into it as well.
Move quickly.
Okay.
You have a fraction of my power.
That's fine. So if I go South Sea deckhand, I can get the buffs onto this. But then it is quite risky doing it that way. But they never on Ceaseless Expand, so I think that's probably going to be the way that I'll go about it. So I'm going to play the South Sea deckhand here. I'll use the gear shift, so that guarantees getting these guys. Guarantees getting it onto this. I got a Shadow Step, which I needed. So I'll play down the Buccaneer here. Okay, so Buccaneer trades into these. I hit face, Shadow Step the Buccaneer back, goes into my hand, these buffs go on it, and then I just go face and win.
Well played.
Well played.
I think I've gotten some more packs, so I'll see if I've gotten anything that's useful for this deck. I'm hoping that I get into another Lucky Comet, because I feel like that's probably more useful than using this scrap heap. Okay, pack. No. Another pack. Okay. Oh, what's my legendary gonna be? I don't think that's a very useful legendary. I've got some old packs on this account. Have a look at these. So, Witchwood, I think that is. Boomsday. I don't know what this pack is. I forgot. Nothing useful out of those. Oh, a legendary. Okay. I could just dust that and then get the other Lucky Comet if I wanted to. No, it's fine. Don't really need to worry too much. This deck's performing perfectly fine. The thing you'll notice that I'm using this deck, I'm not using the stick-ups either. Like, stick-ups a pretty strong card. I just feel like it is missing a little bit something, because sometimes you really need it to hit the proper things. Valera's Gift is what I've switched for, just because with Valera's Gift you can use 2 procs for it, which is sometimes what you're using stick-up for anyway.
Who wants to play? Watch your back.
Okay, so I've got Lucky Comet, I've got the Buccaneer. I think I'm just going to full trade everything though. Because once again, I'm just trying to get the Nexus out as quick as possible. Okay. Alright, so they've got a Miracle Salesman. I get the Nexus, which is really good for me. Now I'm just needing to get another minion. It's fine. Fan of Knives can clear these. Dubious Purchase is okay. I think I'm just going to play the quick pick down though, because Dubious Purchase is probably going to be better in future turns. Okay, I got another quick pick. I'm just going to swing into the 1-1, see what I end up drawing into. Shadow Step isn't very useful. Prep Dubious Purchase. Can get rid of 1. Or I could just use it so I get the Home Manager. Or I might just play into the quick pick down again. Taking a decent amount of damage.
So many options.
I think establishing the weapon's probably more important in this situation because they're still not really showing too much damage to me. This will die, and then it's possible they may have the Hellier this turn. If they don't, and they play down more and Pour, it's a possible way that I can clear it. No, they're just going face. Okay. So I always go prep Dubious Purchase here and see what I end up drawing into. I got another Dubious Purchase. I'll hit the Home Manager into them, and then I'm probably just gonna have to use the coin. No, I'll use the prep, and then Fan of Knives and see what I end up getting. A backstab, that's fine. So, next turn... I need another minion. It's all well and good to have the Nexus, but if you don't have a minion, it's not very useful. Okay, so lay down the Nexus. Oh, it's not good playing it down there because it's not a guarantee. I think I've got to just cycle and hope. Let's cycle. I gotta dig for treasure. Okay, so it's coin, shafter, dig for treasure. Made the Buccaneer, that's good. Then I think it's just backstab into that. I might draw a card first. Yeah. Okay, a backstab into the 2/2. The next turn I should have a decent hand to be able to deal with whatever I need to. So if they play Grifter, it could be a problem for me, because then it could go South Sea Deckhand onto it. These are going to become 6/5s. Deafen doesn't really do too much for me. So if I go Tarslick, I can trade into one like that. I don't want to take any more damage though. So it's going to be Tarslick into here. Lay down the Buccaneer. Go for the coin. Lay down this Buccaneer. Then and I'll be shadow stepping a Buccaneer. So I need to, yeah, I just need to shadow step it, and then I trade and trade, I think. Gets me 9/8s onto the board. They've got 37 health, but I'm not really too worried about what it is, because with this here, I can always use the... I'm just waiting now for my South Sea deckhand to be able to clear them fully. But I don't think they'll have a way to clear these 9/8s anyway. Next turn they'll have their Titan, which will be able to clear something, but I don't think it's too much of a worry for me. Because if I draw into the South Sea deckhand, it's just a win anyway. I think they're probably just going to concede, because I don't really know if there's really a way to deal with what I've got.
Good talk, little Death Knight.
They may have just ended up leaving, to be honest, judging by the fact they're not playing anything. But yeah, this turn 7 is usually quite weak for Death Knight, especially against boards. That's the reason why when you go with Cycle Rogue, if you get a Cycle Rogue board at turn 5 or turn 6, they usually can't clear. Throwing into the coin. Let's just go coin Dubious Purchase to see what I end up getting. I got the South Sea deckhand now. Is that guaranteed? Oh, they've left anyway. Alright, play against a Shaman. Raiding Party, Dubious Purchase, Backstab, Deafen. I definitely don't need the Deafen. Raiding Party's always quite decent. Go at the Backstab. I think I'll keep these two. Means that if I keep the raiding party, it means it's more likely that my dig for treasure hits. So I'm just gonna pass here. Dig for treasure would have been decent, but it means that it puts it a lot more likely that my nexus will draw into what I need to. I'm gonna use my lucky comet here just to get it out of my hand, but also get the buff ready for my dude. It possibly wasn't the best way of doing that. Probably was better just holding it, because then I could, when I've guaranteed it onto the Bargain Buccaneer, that's when you would get the buff. Getting it on this isn't very useful. So like, it is still unlikely to be landing it on this, but it's definitely not the preferred way to be going about it. Okay, gear shift. So I think I go coin here, and then I go raiding party, so it gets me the cards that I need. And then I'm going to use the dig for treasure. Got me the nexus, which I needed. They're not really doing anything at the moment as well, so I'm not really in any too sort of concern to worry about it. They're just playing down totems. Okay. I got prep, which is good. I'm going to play down my my dude. And then I'm going to play the gear shift, I think. Because it does get rid of these two out of my hand. And then I'm hoping that it lands on the Buccaneer. If it lands on here, it's probably better than it landing on here. So I've got 2 hits that I wanted to go. This is definitely the best, obviously. It's fine. Okay. I think I just leave it here. I need to establish a weapon. Quick pick's decent. So I go quick pick here. Task Slick means that it deals an extra 2, so I could go Task Slick into face. Banded Knives then clears. Most of the board. So I'll hit the coin into the cash cow. I think they're playing like a aggressive sort of, a big version of this. And just draw an extra card. This would be a lot better if it was a lucky common in this situation. They're gonna overdraw. I've got the Shadow Step, which is really good for me. So next turn I can play down stuff. Get the Nebula. Okay. So that's always a taunt, isn't it? Taunt and elusive. Okay. So I always play down the South Sea deckhand here. And I can go for prep. Worst hit. Okay, so if I hit this, it'll probably summon more minions from the deck. So I think I hit that. Use the breakdance on the 5/4. Come on. Okay, so I think I just take this out. It gets me my Nexus dude back into my hand. And I'll re-establish the weapon. I'll probably go this. Oh, it's not really great either. This. Prep, maybe? I need to get it onto these guys. Okay, Valera's Gift. So, yeah, that is the way to go about it. So this.
As a gracious host, I will tend to you
Prep.
personally.
Okay, hitting twice onto that is good. Play down you. Use the gift to get it into this one. Get a backstab. Get into you. Doesn't. Summoning this. That needs to go. This goes face. Shadow Step. And I'll just put the backstab onto him. Because otherwise it'd just be overdrawing it anyway. And next turn I need to hope that I draw into a spell that isn't this one. And then it's lethal, I'm pretty sure. Nebula, okay. So I think it still is lethal if I draw into a spell that isn't this. Rag's fine. What's this? Taunt is definitely not great for me though. Dubious Purchase. So establish the quick pick. Dubious Purchase needs to hit one of the 8/8s. That's good. I got a breakdance. Actually no, I can't use it then. Never mind. Since I used the Dubious Purchase, I couldn't use any of the other cards. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, Lucky Comet's a lot better than the scrap guys. Like, the scrap guys possibly could have helped me in that situation, but it's probably not the preferred way to go about it.
Valera versus Tavern.
Okay, Hunter. Usually it's an aggressive Hunter.
Got any loot on you?
Watch your
Don't really want to keep any of this stuff. I think I was a little bit too greedy with that hand. Just gonna have a quick look at my replay of it to see if there's anything better I could have done. Okay, so turn. We'll just look at turn 6 and turn 7.
What are you waiting for? This way.
Okay, with the tracking, they're more than likely using the backstab version. I'm sorry, they're more than likely using the Discover version. I'm just gonna attach my weapon and pass. So my play that last turn was playing down the South Sea deckhand, then using the dude. So if I played the South Sea deckhand, then used the dubious purchase, I would have been able to get the Buccaneer onto the field, then play down the deckhand again, and then take lethal.
Here we go.
Okay. Back into this game. So they're playing Trample Hunter. The good thing about this is I don't really play too many minions down either. So they've used a cup of muscle, but that was on their catch of the day, so it's possible, since they've got another cup of muscle in their hand and they're not just using it, it's quite possible they have other minions in their hand that they don't want it to land on. Okay, so I've got my Buccaneer here. I'll just play it down, and I'll backstab onto it. Because it's quite likely backstab isn't going to get played this game anyway, and then I'll just pass over to them. Yeah. Next turn's probably going to be playing Tarslick, Bargain, Buccaneer, Breakdance. Bird watching. Okay, so they definitely don't have the rush minion in their hand at the moment.
Lush wilds and clear skies. This
Fine.
could be our home.
Okay, so I've got a gear shift. I can't use it right now, obviously. Tarslick goes into here. Tarslick can go face. Tarslick goes face. Lay down the Buccaneer. If I use the Shadow Step on the... If I use the Breakdance on here, it means that I can get those back in as well. So I might use the Breakdance on here. It comes back into my hand, which means the two buffs go onto it. And then I'll Shadow Step one of my Buccaneers. And then next... Okay, the South Sea Deckhand's a really good pull for me. But unfortunately I don't really have a way to get it active. Actually, if I go this, but then if that's a... If that's an Ice Trap, I still can get this buff off. It means this goes back into my hand though. So let's just go face first. Okay, play this down. Use the gear shift. An Ice Trap. Means these go back into my deck. And I get the buff onto here. That's fine. I'll just keep it like that. So I've got 15 damage posed on board. They have a bait and switch, so it's quite likely they may have an alien encounters here. Reserve spot's fine. I think they've only used one reserve spot. I don't think they're gonna really have too much to be able to deal with me. Like, they probably have an alien encounters in their hand. Because they've used enough now to be able to get the alien encounters off. Try this first. Okay, so it's not a freezing trap, obviously. See what Lucky Comet gets me. That on the quick pick. See what I end up drawing into. It's explosive trap, damn. Dubious purchase. Prep dubious purchase. Okay, so I'm just taking out my... I just took out him because if they have the big buff guy, it means that it's less likely they'll be able to deal lethal damage to me. And that's what I'm playing around. So since they're playing the buff thing, I don't want to leave any minions onto the board because it's quite likely they'll have enough damage to be able to deal with me relatively soon. Quick Pick's doing enough for the moment, but I do want to get my extra Buccaneer back out. Because if I get the Buccaneer, I can go South Sea Deckhand, Wrangler, and then go Manager Buccaneer. Buccaneers also can summon 3 doing it like that. The problem is I don't have a Shadow Step or a Breakdance to be able to get my South Sea Deckhand back into my hand.
What are you waiting for?
Using a tracking, that's fine. As long as I don't get an alien encounters, I'm relatively safe. I think I have lethal. I have lethal if they don't get an alien encounters out. This animation's so slow. So slow.
Valir versus Rogue.
For Doomhammer.
Watch your back.
Okay, it's more than likely they're playing a Swarm Shaman, because that's the common list that ends up getting played. I definitely will not be playing around the big Shaman again, even though I only just recently played against one. Yeah, because it's not a common deck to be playing against on ladder. But then again, I haven't played in Platinum since the start of the month, so I'm not really 100% sure what gets played in this. Has anyone in the chat played in Platinum recently that would know what this Shaman more than likely is? It's more than likely Swarm, because that's the best of them at the moment, isn't it? I think it's Prep Raiding Party. Means I can get the quick pick online.
Here we go.
Means that the second dig for treasure gets is guaranteed for Nexus. Okay, I think that means it's Big Shaman again. It's fine. Okay, go face, draw a card. Gear shift. I'll use it. I'm hoping here a prep could be decent because it would mean that I'll be able to use the dubious purchase. Dig for treasure is obviously useful. Didn't get any, that's fine. Oh, manager gets me a coin. I'm just giving them the time. Okay, so they're getting the spells. So it'll be the Cliff and the other one. They don't have a muck. They don't have the Tide Pool out at the moment either. Pop-up book. Okay. Lyra's Gifts gives me a Fan of Knives. Shadow Step. I think I just play the Deafen here. I'll draw a card and see what I get first. Dubious Purchase again. It's either Deafen or Tarslick. I think Tarslick's actually probably more important to play down here. And just pass over to them. Don't really want to be taking unnecessary damage because they're going to be establishing a relatively decent sized board in a moment. Okay. So but they probably have Incendious in their hand, unless they're playing. Yeah, it's probably Incendious that's in their hand. I got the Nexus, that's good.
As a
Let
gracious
down.
host, I will tend to you.
I'll use the coin and see what it lands on. Lucky.
Entertaining.
Okay, play the South Sea deckhand down. I can get it guaranteed to land onto here. So if I go Deafen... Deafen gets it onto here. Then I Breakdance. I'll keep the Shadow Step for a future time. Yep. Okay, so they're using their second of those ones. They'll clear that, that's fine. They're clearing that. So they're doing trading. I've got a quick pick now. So if I go quick pick, dubious purchase, I think that's probably going to be the play here. It gets rid of something. Good treasure gets me the other one. Because I want to be getting the buff onto another one of these, not onto one of those. Not back onto the South Sea deckhand until next turn. Just pass over to them. Next turn I can get all these guys out. They probably have their cliff dive, so the idea is that I'm trying to make it so I can play around that. I'm going to be taking quite a bit of damage this turn. That's not really what I want to be seeing. Down to 10. They might have lethal next turn. Okay, so I need to do a backstab first. Go for Tarslick. Tarslick first. Play down you. Backstab onto this. Play down you. Use the coin.
Here we go. Choose soon.
What a steal! Ready attack.
Or did I get into a shadow step then? I had the prep breakdance, damn. Okay, well they probably do have lethal anyway. Yeah, that's lethal.
Valir versus Garrosh.
I will show no
Okay, Dig for
mercy.
Treasure's good. Castlick's good.
Back.
Oh, sorry, Dig for Treasure's good. Lucky Comet's good. I'll keep those two. Lucky Comet I'll be using in combination when I get onto the Bargain Buccaneer. When I get the buff onto it. Okay, that's fine. So it's not. It might not be a control version, sort of version. This might be a Reno, because they don't usually. I don't think they usually play this. Okay, dig for treasure. got the Nexus, that's a good draw. So next turn is just chill, but then the following turn is going to be play down Buccaneer coin and get it out. And I can use the Lucky Comet to buff up, whatever. Okay, attach the weapon. Don't really care about swinging here. Okay, so next turn is going to be the Nexus Prince. Got a breakdance, it doesn't really matter too much for me. Is it Nexus Prince this turn? It might be the next turn actually. No, I want to get it out, I need to make sure it's out of my hand. Okay, so coin here. Gets that into my hand for it. Then I'll just trade. And the following turn I can go Lucky Comet. Okay, so that, yeah, this is definitely a, that's definitely a, Reno. Yeah, it's always Bounty Wrangler out of those. Just hit my weapon into them, re-establish it, and then pass. Next turn is more than likely this. Yeah, it's more than likely Valera's Gift into Buccaneer into Breakdance to try and get it onto my Buccaneers again. I don't want it on this. Backstab. Don't need to waste the Valera's Gift then. So backstab. Lay down the Buccaneer. Gets the 3 copies out. Use the Breakdance on one of the Buccaneers. Okay, gets 1 onto each. That's fine. I think I'll go for a Gear Shift. It clears out these 2 cards. 3 6/5s is also relatively decent to be dealing with whatever they have. This is a really good pickup, because I can go this, coin this, and things like that. I don't think they'll have an easy way to clear this board. If they have Blade Flurry, they might. If they have the Sanitize, they will as well. I actually wanted to land onto the Buccaneer for 1 more turn, I think. They've got 2 minions, they've also got the Forged as well. Incendious. Okay. The choosing take 18 damage. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Previous purchase. So do I just play this down straight? I think that's what I do. I think I just play it down straight. Use the Home Manager to go face. Yeah, face. This always goes then onto the Buccaneer, and then I use the Dig for Treasure to be able to get my dude out of the deck. Incendious needs to die this turn now. So hit that. That. Go face. With these coins here, it should be relatively good for me because I should be able to no matter what they end up doing, I should be able to clear it. What are they doing? Aftershocks clears 2. They must have a relatively weak hand to not be clearing this out. Could surely use the forged weapon to be able to deal with this.
Do you have this in a bigger size?
Okay, drawing 2 extra cards. They're trading into that, so that means... How much health do they have now? They have 31. Okay, so it is... Coin. Let on the Buccaneer. I think I just go for gear shift here? No. Dubious purchase? Yeah, it's dubious purchase here. I got another shadow step, which is good. So I can play down this. Hit into here. Shadow step. The buff goes back onto here. Point and breakdance. And then it means that I've got the buffs just sitting in my hand ready for the next turn, and he's got to clear this board as well. So Dirty Rat could... does Dirty Rat do much? So that if they did a Dirty Rat, they'd need to go Dirty Rat Brawl. No, that doesn't do enough. Okay, so judging by that, I think that was their Forge thing that they just showed. So that's the one that deals 5 damage, then 5 damage to other minions, but that's not going to do enough to this board either. I don't have Ziliax yet as well, so it should be relatively safe.
I must choose.
Okay. They're getting the Tide Pool, they're trying to get a second one off, but that's not really going to do anything for them. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so another win. I think I might go until I get into Diamond, then I'll probably call it there. Just because I'm starting to get a little bit tired, and this deck does involve a little bit of thinking. Like, you have to think about what the best way to combo out the cards is. I'll leave the video online, the VOD online, if you're wanting to have a look at it as well. If anyone's wanting to have a look at it.
Must protect the wild.
Okay, so I've got O Manager Raiding Party Lucky Comment. I'm playing against a Druid. I think I just want to full mulligan everything. I might keep the Raiding Party because Druid's usually relatively slow. Prep into Raiding Party means I draw a lot. Okay, South Sea, Buccaneer, and a Quick Pick. So next time I play down this Quick Pick because they don't have knowledge that I have the other Quick Pick in my hand as well. Okay, so play down the Quick Pick, hit into face, draw a card.
Here we go.
Alright, so I've just drawn into a breakdown, so I'm gonna hit with my quick pick again, see what I draw into. Shadow Step is not that important. I think I just used the gear shift here. I know that it got rid of my Buccaneer, but it also means that I'm really trying to draw into that Nexus. Because that's ultimately the game plan. Just get it and hope. Or get it as soon as possible and hope. It's fine. Okay, so I've drawn my second Tarslick. I can't use Dubious Purchase this turn. I think it's just hit a Tarslick and then Fan of Knives. Dig for Treasure's decent. I got the Nexus, so now I'm just looking for my Buccaneer again. I got back the Buccaneer, so that's good. So next turn I can hopefully get it to land on there.
Stop and smell
Okay.
the flowers.
So it's always going to be Nexus,
As a gracious
and then
host,
backstab.
I will tend to you personally.
See what it lands on. Lands on there, that's good. I think I just hit the quick pick into the 1/3 and then draw a card. Okay, and pass over to them. So it's possible they may end up getting the Ziliax relatively soon, which is a little bit of concern. Actually, that's guaranteed Ziliax out of that. Because I got the second crystal. That's fine, I guess. So I've got to make use of these Buccaneers then to be able to deal with this. So I think I go for the gear shift here. It gets the South Sea Deckhand out of my hand. Then I can play this down. Oh, lucky comment. I'm going to play that first. Useless. Play it down to get a bunch of 6/5s. Head into here. And it's better just getting back a Buccaneer than trying to keep the Nexus alive. Okay. So they'll have Ziliax this turn. Yeah. Okay, so kills that. Now I go Valera's Gift, get the Fan of Knives out, play down this. Do I play that on that? No, I don't think I play that down, so I hit into this. I think I just chill for a turn. Oh, but they may have a Hydration Station. Lay down the Buccaneer.
Sail for sail!
Here we go.
And now we part.
I'll break down to 6/5. So it gives me a decent sized board. It definitely wasn't worthwhile using that turn. Okay, so that becomes a 12/11. If they don't have the Hydration Station, I'm relatively safe. If they do, well, it is what it is. So if they did have Hydration Station there, I probably still could clear it, but it wouldn't be a very good clear. They're gonna launch the Starship. Yep. Okay, prep. Prep. slow this guy down. Dubious purchase. A shadow stab. This always goes phase. This deck would probably run Ceaseless Expanse, but I don't know how many cards in we are. Okay, so I'll just keep that. I'll keep that in chill. If I need to, I can use the Deafen onto their armor guy so I can clear it decently. Got 5 cards left in my deck. Basically all of them except the Scrap Heap draws into South Sea Deckhand soon. I don't think Hydration Station even saves this. Okay. So Yogg... Will that full clear? I don't think so. No, it's because of that trade that was there. That's fine. Basically. So backstab. This is guaranteed to get South Sea Deckhand.
Almost out of cards.
Mana Jar. Play down him. And deal a lot. The reason why I was guaranteed was because I had Dig for Treasure and I also had the South Sea in my hand with 4 cards. So the reason why I didn't use this down first was because there's a possibility I might miss the South Sea Deckhand. This is one buff South Sea Deckhand, I'll tell you. How much is it going to deal? It's like 90? The buffest of South Sea Deckhands. 86. Yeah, that's definitely lethal. Okay. Alright, so I got the Nexus in hand.
Valera versus Uther.
More than likely I'm playing against hand buff Paladin.
Watch your back.
So mulligan away quick pick. Keep these two. Or just keep the Nexus. I think I'll just keep those two. Dig for Treasure is a good pickup. So I'm hoping that the Dig for Treasure gets the one of the bargains. South Sea Deckhand. Okay. So could be Libram Paladin or it could be a hand buff Paladin still, judging by this hand. I'm thinking of just using the gear shift here. So I don't really need these two now. Or I could just establish the weapon. Yeah, let's just establish. And I'll hit into the 1-1 just in case it's Libram if they have some sort of buff for it. Okay. So it's more than likely hand buff Paladin if they're not playing down the weapon. So this turn I go Nexus and Coin. See what it buffs onto. Not the preferred target. Okay, let's go gear shift. So backstab, prep, and deafen. So let's hit into here and backstab the 1-2. Just pass over. So I'm hoping to get some sort of bounce effect. They've obviously got the weapon here. Trading. It's fine. Okay, second prep is not useful at all. I'll just stick the weapon and pass. I really do need some sort of draw, so like using the gear shift was a little bit of a mistake since I drew nothing from it, and I don't have any real benefit to show for it. They're doing a draw so they get max value using the weapon. They're gonna overdraw a card though. I got a dubious purchase, that's really good for me. So let's go prep dubious purchase first. Guarantees the takeout. I don't have any sort of way to get, still don't have a way to get the dude back into my hand, so I'm gonna reattach the quick pick and hit face. I'm gonna pass again. It's not ideal. That's a bad loss for them. This is obviously the weakness to go with just the singles South Sea deckhand, because if I was doing both, I would be able to just get rid of it. It wouldn't really matter for me. Okay, so I've got to make a play this turn. So I'm gonna play down the South Sea deckhand. I'll do the coin. Okay. Lay down this. I'll do the tar slick so it can get the clear going. And I'll do a prep. And a knife, see what I draw into. Still don't have the card. So this can go face. I'll draw a card, see what I draw into. Gear shift. Got the shadow step, thank goodness. Okay, and passing. So next turn I always go Lucky Comet into Buccaneer. It gets me a big board. They don't have enough, I don't think they have enough buffs on their board as well to be able to deal with it. Painter's Virtue. So they're up to 4 now. Everything's got plus 4/4. It's 5/5. It's not too concerning for me, I still should be fine. Raiding Party doesn't really get anything, so I'm gonna go Lucky Comet here. Buccaneer's always the best. Lay down the Buccaneer here. And I'm just gonna go for a full trade. And I think I just Shadow Step. I could go for a Tar Slick. I don't think there's too many more taunts that are used in this deck, so I think it's just Tarslick, get the buffs into my hand, and then I use a Shadow Step on one of the Buccaneers. So does it... will it really matter?
Choose soon.
I'll just Shadow Step it just in case.
By the holy light!
They have lethal. They're for 11. Okay. Not really anything I could do to play around that, so they had a 6 buff and a 5 buff. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Demon Hunter.
This ends now!
What?
So they're quite aggressive, and without the stick-ups, this deck's a lot weaker against it. Just gonna full trade everything. Got a quick pick, which is good, and a dig for treasure. So next turn's, first turn's always gonna be dig for treasure. That's a really good draw for me. It would have been a lot better to have the bargain bin, but it is what it is. Battlefiend. Play down quick pick, and I think I'm just gonna go face. Just draw a card and see what I get. Shadow Step's fine. So I think it's gonna, I'm just gonna have to do a awkward trade for this.
As a gracious host,
Okay, use a coin, see what I end up getting into.
personally.
Lands onto here, that's a lot better. Just pass over to them, because next turn I can use some combo stuff using this. Okay, so they get the Burning Heart off, so that means they're going to be probably doing the trade like this, and then the rest going face. But I think that should be fine, because I should be able to get this out, and they shouldn't be able to clear it. Because like the Hot Coals deals 2, so it could be somewhat of an issue, but I feel like it should be okay. Fine, so I think they're just going to send all this face. It's going to trade into here, and then the rest goes face. I feel like they should have used the hero power to get some sort of advantage coming from that, but it is what it is. They still have the coin in their hand as well. Okay, so I'm going to play down the South Sea deckhand. It can go face. Play down this. So you can go into... You can go into that. You can go into that. Shadow Step onto the South Sea deckhand, so it's always guaranteed to get some buffs onto it, and then I've got to pick up this one. And I think I'm just going to go face with this last bit, because I am running out of cards in my hand. And then I'm going to pass over to them. Like, I can use this next turn if I really need to, because it's more than likely the idea is I'm not going to win by doing face damage, I'm going to win by having all the rush and the combo. Because they won't have a way to clear this. It's fine. So, yeah, next turn it's going to be just playing down this and this. I'll have the weapon as well, so I'm going to be able to deal 8 to the face too.
Communications reporting in.
That's fine. Okay, Lucky Comet does change a little bit. Okay, so play down the South Sea Deckhand, attach the weapon, use Fan of Knives, it gets this active. I'm not worried of it dying, so I'm going to use it. Just trade into these two, because it's not likely with those two cards they're going to be able to do very much with that, and I'll just go face with the rest. If they have a way to deal with it, it's fine, but I should be able to do lethal. They shouldn't really, on turn 5, they shouldn't really have a way to deal with this. Because Hot Coals only deals 2 and 1, so it wouldn't be able to deal with any of these guys. They don't have a coin left in their hand as well. That's dealing 3, that doesn't deal enough either. If they had Burning Heart, they could have done it. Interesting. They would have had a way to play around that with the Burning Heart if they'd done it.
I yield for now.
I didn't even think of that play, so I'm glad they didn't have the Burning Heart, otherwise they would have probably won just from that. Okay, what's our next guy? Just waiting to the next game. Okay, playing against a Shaman, more than likely Swarm Shaman. But I have played against a few big Shamans in a row lately, so maybe it could be Big Shaman.
Across eternity.
Watch your
I don't really want to keep any of this stuff. Okay, that's fine. Quick Pick can draw me a few cards if I need to. Miracle Salesman, so it is probably Swarm Shaman. It can be Asteroid Shaman using that as well. I'll just pass and see what it ends up being. So that the Task Slick can be useful for Swarm Shaman, I don't want to just use it for the sake of using it. Okay, Quick Pick always goes face.
Here we go.
Dig for Treasure is quite strong. Okay, so they are playing some sort of... Would they be running a Reno list? Okay. I'm just going to use the Task Slick onto this. I don't want to take any more damage than what's necessary, because I still don't 100% know for sure what I'm playing against. Just going to pass. Okay, so Oracle, Snake Oil, so they'll draw some more cards, so it's... I think it still could be Asteroid, but I don't think it's very likely. Okay, so I think I always go face. Oh no, I always deal with the 2-1 here. Correct? So let's do the lucky common and see what I end up getting. I get the rush. I think I'm just gonna get the rush and get rid of the oracle just in case. Not great, but it's just what I have to do at the moment because his hand isn't doing too much. Bird watching, that's fine. Okay, so it's definitely not a reload list because they've used 2 bird watchings. They're now drawing an extra card using that. Okay, play down quick pick. Prep dubious purchase, see what I end up drawing into. I got the Nexus, which is good. Okay, I can go for coin. Dig for treasure, get some of the extra 2 cards out of my deck. Do I really care about overdrawing with this hand? Not really. I think it's probably just best just keeping the hand as it is. Yep, because I got two coins in my hand.
I smell gold in them there waters.
Okay, so this is probably an. So I don't even know what list this is. I'm just gonna play. Okay, so play down the Nexus. Use the coin. See what it lands on. Lands onto the Buccaneer, which is really good for me. Play down the Buccaneer. Use a coin again. See what I end up drawing it. See what it lands on. Both land on Buccaneers, which is good. Trade. Shadow step one of my Buccaneers as well to put it back in my hand just in case I need it. But it should be fine being able to do the combo onto these. I'll just head into the 1/1 as well to be able to draw a card, and it also means that I clear the board completely. And it's just passing here. Okay, so I've got 9 damage on board. This has quite a bit of damage that can come from it as well, so I should be able to do. I feel like I should be able to deal lethal this turn. These cards that I have in my hand. Okay, multi-magma's fine. Yeah, that doesn't really change too much. Okay, so backstab first. Let down Buccaneer. Shadow step Buccaneer. See what it lands on. These always just trade into these anyway, it doesn't really matter too much. Let down Buccaneer. Let down the other Buccaneer. Actually, maybe I'll just hold for a turn. Is this definitely lethal? So that's 6. I don't have enough time to count it, so I think I'll just hold for a turn. Let's just breakdance one of these dudes. Hit into face and then just reattach the weapon. It wouldn't have been lethal doing it in that order. So I don't think they should have a way to deal with this board. Like, they could possibly Ceaseless Expanse, maybe. But I've got quite a lot of stuff just dealing here, and then I've still got these cards in my hand as well. Okay. 2 Volcanoes. Still have 27 damage on board.
Well played.
I'm gonna call it there. Thank you everyone for coming along. I'm glad that you've enjoyed the stream, for all the people that have been along for the whole time. I should be uploading a video in the next day or two to do with this deck. And then might make a story to go with how I've climbed from bronze to legend as well to go with it too. But yeah, it's not. I think I'm probably next stream I'll be able to get it. Otherwise, I might do it offline. But we'll just wait and see what happens for it. But yeah, thanks for coming along to the stream today. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and please continue the support. I've enjoyed it greatly. And yeah, have a good day.